The word decent doesn't apply to me.
This man is not a hero, he's a criminal.
Shut up!
Woo! Hello, everybody. How you doing out there? It's been quite the day. I hope everyone had a good weekend. Hope Monday went well. You made it to Tuesday. We got a few things to talk about. Do me a favor, tweet out that that I'm live. Hello, John. Hello, Tim. We'll see who else filters in. I'm looking over at X. There's people there, but I'm not seeing any responses. It's kind of the way it goes with X. I guess you just listen as you go along. Let's say hello to everybody. Greetings, and to all who come through later, including my pal Kyle Cullen, who always leaves a comment. Thank you very much. Whatever shall we talk about first? Watch their review, and hello to everybody. I just watched the Section 31 review on Red Letter Media, so I got an idea of what other people are saying about it. I agree with Red Letter Media. I think I agree with Red Letter Media. Not very positive on that one. Give me some time to figure out what they tried to say for a while there. And hello, Mr. House Party 6. Guys, YouTube just does not tell people when I'm on the air. Hopefully some people will filter in. I got us a longer beginning. Pause this a moment. It's good to see everybody. This day in history, it's the poll. Do you remember where you were when we lost the Challenger? And if you're an American or you're not an American, these guys went on a mission to science. It was for the world, right? So inspiring stuff there. You know, it takes a lot of bravery to do what those people did. The Teacher in Space program, who wouldn't forget that? And maybe we just got a little too laissez-faire, and we looked at putting things, in orbit the way we looked at naming a pond or a train station, and people lost their lives because of the ignorance and the dumbness. Got out of YouTube jail, got YouTube jail time. So bad. Yeah, I think I might have a little bit of YouTube jail time. I'm not as huge as some other people. My uploads are still doing all right, but I have pissed off YouTube like 3 straight times with things that I've done. The number one thing I did over and over, I keep telling the truth. I keep telling the truth, but hello everybody, and hello on X. It's great to have people watching. Anybody, even one person or someone coming through later is fine. We have an agenda, we have a show, it's reapproachable, it's re-listenable. Challenger. You know what? In my part of the world, it was like we had a week off from school for tests. It was a test week, right? So you had like testing days. I didn't have a test the day of the Challenger explosion. I was pretty young. But I went to my friend's house, and all we were doing was like playing guitar and like smoking pot and doing stuff like that. And then they told me about this thing that had happened hours before, and I just didn't believe it. And I was laughing, and I was sure that everything that Nancy Reagan said about drugs must be true. And it took seeing it for it to really sink in. Yeah, you got to keep the community safe. You know what? Yeah, and also do me a favor, guys. If anybody shows up, say hi to them, make them feel welcome. I don't have to tell you guys, but really, community engagement a little bit tough. We've seen them playing hardball with a lot of people. We saw Snowdub show the numbers. Snowdub coming from a much higher place than I'm at. I had the highest month ever of engagement. It's just reestablishing the weeknights is kind of hard. And you know what? I don't mind it that people are probably over there, but Culture Casino is my number one overlap in channel members. Don't ask me why. You would figure it'd be Doomcock, but it's not. It's Culture. So when Culture does something, it's going to impact me. But maybe for a little while, like right before he comes on the air, we'll have some good times here as far as numbers go. I'm trying Morton Thiokol. There's a name I haven't heard in a long time. Is that even the right way to spell it? I only know how to say it because I've seen it. Morton Thiokol. I know that there was a part designed on Long Island where the aerospace industry starts. A few parts are designed on Long Island by leftover contractors from things like Apollo. The Long Island parts survived, but they were like pieces of titanium. The part that blew up, I'll never forget. It took a while to get the answer, even though they kind of knew fairly quickly. It took like a year for them to let the people go on TV and talk about it, if I remember correctly. And what was weird was I noticed that while the guy was giving the talk about what happened and what went wrong with the Challenger, he was wearing, the same kind of bangle bracelets that my sister had, the Madonna style ones. And, as you looked at it, it was kind of weird to behold. And you're like, why is this scientist wearing his daughter's bracelet? And then out of nowhere, he points out that he's wearing his daughter's bracelet. Hey, Krimlon, good to see you, my friend. Hello. Hi, Krimlon. Krimlon is a great guy who's friends with Radioactive. It's good to see you. You know what, Krimlon? Welcome to the Tuesday show where we try to establish that I will be around and where, who knows, if I show up often enough, maybe we'll start to build up some numbers. But the point is, get my point of view out there, establish myself during the week, back to where I was. I sort of started doing like a big, huge Tuesday. I found out YouTube's sort of not very friendly towards those of us who go crazy like that. So people can do it and get away with it, but like after a while, if you don't play by YouTube's rules, they might just do some things to you. Rocco the Brave, yes, stuck at work. Howdy, you know what, Rocco? Someone has to protect us from other Kryptonians. They're dangerous. And when Krypton sends us their Supermen, Rocco, you bring me to one of my points on my bullet point. I'll start with that one. You know what? When Hollywood sends us their Supermen, they're not sending their best anymore. They're not sending George Reeve. They're not sending Christopher Reeve. They're not even sending the guy from Superman Returns, whoever the fuck he was. They're sending, Henry Cavill, who I like, but he's in a terrible movie. And Rocco the Brave is probably going to be swerving on the road or whatever, typing wrong. I don't know what Rocco does. Whatever he does, he's going to be messing it up if he's on the computer, if he's driving. I hope you don't drive for Uber, Rocco. But you know what? I'm not a fan of Zack Snyder's Perry White. I'll just say it right now. I have an inspired sort of dislike for Perry White to the point that I'm actually putting down the time code that I'm starting to talk about this and considering uploading it as its own little thing because, you know what? HVAC on the roof. All right, you know what? You said it. I didn't. I knew it, but I wasn't going to mouth off. You know what? Rocco the Brave. Oh, Rocco remembers. And Rocco, thanks for being a member of the community, and thanks for everybody who's in the community, and thanks to all of you in green and all of you at Wrenches. I thank you so much. You know what? Here's my thing about Perry White. And Rocco, he thought it was a crazy rant, but I think the deal was 2 or 3 days later, it was one of those weird jokes. It was on the way home and hit him. He realized there was 3 or 4% of validity in it, but he thought maybe I was on a rant. And I was, but I was trying to be performative and have some fun, which was the point of, being on YouTube, in my opinion. Within my own scope of how you do that. So what I said was, if you look at these Superman, Man of Steel movies from Zack Snyder, compare Perry White to the other Perry Whites. He's the perfect example of how these things have gone just off the rails and gone bad. And it's a bad, bunch of things that happened to Perry White all at once. What happened? Well, nobody minds this one, but he got race swapped. Okay, fine. That's fine with me, actually. On Perry White, why not? You want to make him a smart black guy? I'll back down. It was a long time ago. That movie's, 2017? It's been a long time since Man of Steel. It's been a long time, and it's Zack Snyder's most coherent superhero movie. Probably more coherent than Watchmen. He was being watched and kept an eye on, and he made so many mistakes in that script. They didn't keep a close enough eye on the story, the indifferent Superman, and all the other stuff. So Perry White, in the middle of this story, his traits are he's typical of the whole Snyderverse. No individual in the Snyderverse. Yeah, he had no character development at all in Man of Steel, but he did have more character development than Soup, who was simply told to let people, be swept away by fate. And hello, everybody. And I keep glancing over at the X to see if anyone's over there. I love that you're out there. Here's the deal with the Man of Steel Perry White and the Man of Steel Superman. The Man of Steel Superman has traits that are not suited to be Superman, just like Snyder's Batman is not suited to be Batman. He fundamentally doesn't understand these heroes or the characters. But Perry White, even though he's a peripheral character, he's like every problem wrapped up into one. He hates news. His traits don't fit his job. He's a news editor. He hates news. When Lois Lane tells him that she knows about aliens, she flexes her Pulitzer Prizes, and she flexes all her hardware that she has and her contract or whatever it is. She has to do this big flex, and every time Lois Lane, who's a reporter, gets near people, she's a needlessly confrontational bitch, okay? She's really, really mean to people. When Lois Lane needs to talk to people about this weird vessel crashed into the ice. We thought it was the Fortress of Solitude. It's not. It's got something to do with the Melissa Benoist Supergirl. It has to do with how they ended her story, which is weird because she's around 20,000 years later. I don't know. The comic doesn't make sense. The comic doesn't make sense at all. She's a Kryptonian. I mean, am I wrong? Maybe it wasn't the Melissa Benoist Supergirl, but they tied that's tied to a Supergirl comic, that Fortress of Solitude. It's not a Fortress of Solitude. It's a crashed Kryptonian ship from 1700 years ago, 2,000 years ago, some shit like that. The Iron Age ship. So it's crashed in the Arctic or the Antarctic. It's in the wrong place, I think, there too. But, she gets there on the helicopter, and every moment she's there, it's wrong. It's it's just over that ridge. And I'm like, you have a fucking helicopter. Why didn't you just land closer? Or if this is where you land your helicopter and it's outside, why not build a jetway? So they walk through the freezing freaking cold. CIA agent, we'll find that out later. CIA agent, Jimmy Olsen, hands her off to Stabler from SVU. It's ridiculous. It's I'm watching this show and I'm trying to make sense of what's going on. I'm watching this movie and I'm trying to make sense of what's going on, and they're mixing. It's why is Stabler there? What's going on with Stabler? It was so weird. But when she goes in there and starts talking to them about this alien ship, she's not fazed. She doesn't take note of the technology. She doesn't ask them why they haven't told the public. Nothing. It's just so let's have a dick measuring contest. I think that's what she says, right? There's some dick jokes in there where she's the one making the jokes, or she's trying to own these two military guys, and it's just I have been in the presence of military people, and they from a corporal up to from the lowliest private who's made it through boot camp and been discharged honorably, up to a colonel, a general. I was on a train where we saw Colin Powell. I've shown the picture a couple of times. He was they have this military bearing. They have this military, military presence to almost all of them, and it's just. These two guys are not going to let this female reporter from, Gotham City roll up ambling on up to them and make a bunch of dick jokes to them about what, macho men they are. They're going to tell her, maybe we need someone a little more serious to look at this alien architecture. Did you notice that you're, the third person ever to be on this fucking ship? She's not should I be wearing a respirator? That's what I'd be saying. It was a prequel comic that revealed that Kara Zor-El crashed 20,000 years ago. I was off. Okay. That opened that open pod was her. See, here's the thing: the person we see walking away is just a shadowy figure. Her and the villain are locked in mortal combat at the end of the comic, if I remember correctly. Rocco, it's been a long time. At the end of the comic, her and the comic's bad guy are locked in combat. The thing crashes. It's set on a fatal trajectory. She doesn't want him to get the better of it. But do they flip that? Is that contiguous? Is she Henry Cavill's Supergirl, his niece? Is that Melissa Benoist, or are there two Supergirls now? I mean, I just how many? It's raining Kryptonians, hallelujah! But back to Perry White for a minute here. Perry White in Man of Steel. He hates news. When Lois Lane tells him about this alien experience she had, he doesn't ask her anything. He doesn't ask her for proof. He tells her to shut up, and he threatens to fire her. She doesn't lift up her shirt up to her and show her that her stomach is scalded and burned by Superman's eyes. Nothing. She's got all this tertiary proof enough to get her greenlit to go forward and investigate it more. Nope. They're not going to want to do it. And in fact, the paper's owners want him to sue her. And I'm like, why would you sue your own employee? Like, they get paid from you. Is this a clawback lawsuit or something? You're trying to get your contract back? So weird. Then later on in that movie, or is it BVS, where she needs the helicopter and she's running through the Daily Planet newsroom and she goes, I need the helicopter. He goes, absolutely not. And she goes, it's not for work. He goes, okay. Well, what the hell is that? Perry White is the editor of the Daily Planet, and we can see Metropolis from the banks of the river, or whatever it is, the bay. We can see Metropolis from the bay in Gotham, and vice versa. So in the world of the Snyderverse, when Perry White would go walking around down by the river, looking for a van down by the river where he's going to end up living if he doesn't start to develop some journalistic integrity. Has he ever looked across the river where we know Batman has been active for 20 years because he says so, like 5 minutes into the other movie, that, he's never seen this weird searchlight that the Gotham police have that we get confirmed? I think we should all agree that Amy Adams is not Lois Lane. They've blown that one so often. I wonder what we're going to get this time as far as Lois Lane. She wasn't to die for, nor was she repulsive when we saw her, but we know James Gunn just loves those self-deletion squad and other kind of stuff. And yeah, guys, I'm sorry, I'm going to have fun with the YouTube euphemisms, because right now, just got to play it close to the vest and figure out what happens until they start sending people my way. But 8 of you, wow, what an honor. It's great to see you, the hateful 8 that have joined Admiral Teag. I'm going to give you the best show you could have. So let's finish up the Perry White points, because I think Zack Snyder might just be done. The one thing I'll say, Rocco, is every Zack Snyder project that comes out since then has proven that I'm right. Every Zack Snyder hero is ill-suited for their job. Every Zack Snyder character is kind of ill-suited, specifically ill-suited for their job. And any character touched by him, the only one that he did a good job in was Wonder Woman. He was the only one who had the decency to name her, and her powers are so up in the air, nebulous and changeable, that there was an argument to be made for whatever he did, but he still wrote that line where Wonder Woman puts the golden lasso of truth on someone and says to him, who are you? And he says, I'm a counterinsurgent. I'm a counterinsurgent. Who thinks of themselves that way? So anyway, Perry White is down by the river. I'm a freedom fighter. Counterinsurgent. Hail, Dave C. It's good to see you, my man. Dave C. Lurking. Eating. I was gonna ask you if you wanted to come by today, but I figured I needed to get on here solo and crazy. But maybe next Tuesday, if you're not around, if you want to come by, Dave. It was fun hanging out with you. Maybe we should make that a thing. I had a great time with Dave C. You should sub to his channel. He does a great job with comics. And you know what? Fun time was had by all with a terrible comic. And that readallcomics.com has been a resource. I've been going back to it, and we found out, does it? Cool. You know what? I like the idea of it. You got a great perspective and you're fun. And, bouncing stuff off of you, you got a great reaction because, Dave C's a great guy, but, he doesn't dig deep into the horrors of the internet like Admiral Teague does. So I can sometimes throw things up there to him and it's just like batting practice. I know he's going to hit a home run of being a little bit stunned and having a great reaction. And also, he's a smart guy who's fun. You should sub to his channel. Dude, put your let me grab your link. Let me do this for you. Dave C certainly has earned this. I like seeing you in green, but you know what? Here you go. You now have moderation powers. RRTNZ is here. Hello, RRTNZ. I saw the Challenger explode live on TV. I couldn't believe it. It was horrific. Were you up late? Was it like 11:30 at night there? If it happened at 11:30 in the morning here, that means it happened at like 5:30 in the morning there. Um, I told my story. I was a high school loser. I woke up real late. It was a day that we didn't have school. It was a test day. I didn't take any really good classes. I didn't like my intellect did not develop. We were talking about like this in the group chat, like about how some people just like never grew up, and I was just like, my parents didn't accept that shit from me. Like when I was seen as not trying, like I'm glad I grew up in an era where your parents just be like, my dad was like, you sound like an idiot and you need to start trying harder or I'm going to smack you around and you won't be needing that Atari until you can pass some of these math tests. And we need that today. You're welcome. And put your channel, but like write the name of your channel. Here's what you do. Write your name of your channel in it and put it in there before it and then drop the link in and do it again. This way, when people come through later, they'll know it's you, even though in context they will, but just that's the way I usually format it when I drop my link on other people's pages. It's cool though. You know you have link drop privileges. You're a good creator and you're a good guy. And hey, we made it to the double digits. Hello all. I screwed the Mad Sense down to the minimum level sometime in the half-hour mark. It's gonna do its thing. I assume everybody has a blocker. Yeah, you know, like it's not like an order. I'm just if you want to leave it like that, that's cool. But I always label my link when I drop it. It's like my graffiti tag, you know. It's like you want to drop your link and leave, and it's just like.
Almost got away with it, didn't you?
And you know, it's like people are thinking like, you know, you dropped your link, and you know.
Stylistically designed to be that way, and you can't undo that. But we can diminish the effects of it.
And what you're doing by not labeling it is you're diminishing the effects a little bit. Get your brand out there. I don't know, man. Like we're getting there. It took a little while for people to stumble in. I'm so glad you're all here. It's really fulfilling. We got people on X. We got people over on YouTube. I'm looking at both. We've more or less abandoned what they call the green machine. Let's see, Krimla. Let's catch up with some of these chats. That's the cool thing about the Tuesday show is I can be the kind of just reactive YouTuber that I was. I bring bullet points to Tuesday. This Thursday. Sub Commander Tall from X, guys. He's hilarious. He has a lot of great posts. He specializes in great humor, especially TOS. Also, I talked to Always Sunny on Scarif from the Scarif podcast. Another huge presence on X, also a presence on YouTube. I like Always Sunny on Scarif. Always an interesting conversation. They're willing to engage. Very engaging X person. And hello, Caesar Coetto. Caesar, are you are you one of the parties I just mentioned? And thank you for being a member of my channel, Caesar. It's great to see you, and welcome aboard. You know what? Good to see you in green. So, Perry White, to wrap it all up in a bow, as we only have done bullet point 1, but that actually keeps me on schedule. All right, bullet point 1 is. Cross-eyed Superman learns to fly. In Perry White and the Snyderverse, just like everyone else's traits didn't match his job, just like we find out later Martian Manhunter is the only person standing between us and an alien invasion. Hello, sounds like we already had an alien invasion. Okay, Captain America, what the fuck? A weird tweet follows a weird interview. Did anyone see Anthony Mackie? First of all, just tweet in the default case, Anthony Mackie. The comic book sense, I get it. You thought about it a little bit. It was. We appreciate it. We feel thought about, but just, you know, it's not a thing. He's trying to now, like, I don't know if he's backpedaling it. He's trying to, like, repackage it. Like, he's not backing away from the fact that he said Captain America doesn't stand for America. Just think on that. We'll get back to that one later. But what's going on with Superman? Speaking of standing for America, which one stands for America more? Superman or Cap? Superman or Cap? And by the way, if you just want to drop your link and split, that's cool too. That's YouTuber advice. Do you remember where you were in the Challenger was lost? We have 9 people voting, and it gets scientifically viable at 22. Will we make it? I don't know. We're only 20 minutes into the show, but I can say what the fuck now because I've earned that right. It's great to see you guys. Superman Returns. That was a great movie as far as Superman was at least Superman. There were some problems with it, and Kevin Spacey wasn't really great. But uh, you just talked about Man of Steel. You avoided Perry White. Yeah. Don't worry about it. I looked. I always listen to the show later. It's a great show. You also have Wrench Authority. Label and put your show, Two Guys Talking, into the chat as well. And Rocco, would you ever come on and do an episode of Enterprise with us? We're taking. We're going to start doing guests here and there on that show. Although, wow, that panel with Jerm, JT, and Sean Carter and myself we've really gelled, and the upload for yesterday's Enterprise, it's really something. The conversation was great. I didn't have to do much with that. The conversation was great. Mostly I had to do was cut myself out of it and cut out my bad voice. But the other stuff in it was great. I've added a lot of video. I'm approaching video essay level, like on a lot of stuff. It's a Wonderful Life is a full-on video essay. And I'm not done yet. So I'm going to keep on working on that. And I couldn't be more pleased. That my editing skills are finally coming along. So with these Superman things, what are we going to do? This new Superman, I don't know why the coffee filter keeps coming to mind when I see his outfit. I don't know why it looks like a freaking coffee filter to me. There's something uncool about Superman's outfit. I don't super hate it, though. It's just, it doesn't feel like it has anything going on to me. It feels like it's lacking something. And also, like, forgive us while we figure out what's going on with StreamYards. It's just been kind of a pain in the ass lately. We're doing our best. One of the things I had to do in our show, and thank God everybody during the ratings part just kind of talks in turn, I finally learned how to not interrupt people constantly. I turn on my mute button. But I finally, since everyone talks at a different time, I was able to, balance the sound volume. So you guys, we're working on it. One of the things that happened was the people who house the software for the biggest DAC makers, the audio DAC makers, they're in Palisade Park, California. No getting through to them right now. Superman no longer truth, justice, and can help me with that one. Truth, justice, CE, and Mikano. Truth, justice, and a better tomorrow. Did he say that? Oh, God. Oh, I get what you're doing. Truth, justice, and American way. Yeah, you know what? This is an American YouTube channel. I'm an American YouTuber. I'm also, an American citizen and voter, and I was born in this country. And I guess I would just say, hey, Jim Acosta, you want to be on the Admiral Teag News Network? We're going to do pop culture news and views. You can be on here as my anchor. You're Cuban. I'm Cuban. I think it could work out. Your eyebrows, heavier than mine, but you know what? We got the same kind of good hair. So I think you would go on the Enterprise show. You would? All right. Are you Xing these days? How do I get in touch with you? Because we'll set one up. And we have a few coming up that we could definitely, because of the episode, the guests will be more featured. We'll give you your pick. We'll take a look at a few. But, taking volunteers and, also, Shanghaiing people to be part of the Admiral Teague show. What can I tell you? About 3 weeks ago, I started booking guests hardcore, and this week it's come to fruition. 2 weeks of canceling later. It wasn't Sub-Commander Stahl's fault he got popular numbered the virus, and I'm just glad he's okay. I knew when he said he was just too tired. I was the wheels of my mind started turning. You know what I'm saying? You know what? I don't give a shit what people say. Man of Steel got more right than wrong, and he wasn't afraid to say, as American as it gets, it was a decent Superman movie. I do think that Zack Snyder, one thing he might be is, I think Zack Snyder, he's weird and he's woke, but I think he's one of those people who's weird and woke in a way that's strange and hard to augur. It's he tries to do stuff with the female characters. He's not so great, but he tries to give them agency. He seems to always make them into bitter bitches, but he tries to give them agency. Truth, justice, and the American way was his old saying. Yes, that's right. And that's that's not his old saying. That's his legitimate saying. The other one is false. It's not his old saying. It's his legitimate saying. Superman says truth, justice, and the American way. He also doesn't say down, 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 and close. That's bizarro Superman stuff. You know what I mean? down and closer is Bizarro Superman's flyaway stuff, or whatever he does backwards through the air or through the ground, whatever it might be that week. Yeah, he says truth, justice, and better tomorrow now because he denounced. That was what made him so great. They took so much care. They took so much care in the first Superman movie, and you guys can watch it with me. I'm pretty sure I remember the shot well. The ship comes straight down from the sky into America. So Krypton was pointed towards America. America has infinite airspace. Superman was born an American. And then they shot him down that tunnel of freedom along the trajectory of liberty back to America. America. Comic writers are now woke. You know what? Honestly, the thing is, the pay is so bad that you have to be a wacky activist to do it because they cut it to the bone. They're like, we have some computers and animation that make it easier. We don't need you to do this. So, like, they got no respect to begin with, and it got worse. And I'm sorry for the people who do it, but it got worse. You didn't get a whole lot of respect, and then it got worse. And what happened was the tech made it seem like it got worse, and I guess there was less and less money. True story. I'm not going to give away any names. Girl I went to college with, sweet girl. Her boyfriend, fiance, then husband was a guy that has his name on mastheads of comics. Mastheads of major comics, one of the big companies, one of the 3 or 4 big ones. Where does he live now? What did he do? He immediately moved to Pennsylvania within commuting distance of New York so that he could live with less taxes and a lower cost of living, but not have to totally relocate from where he lived. The weather in PA wasn't great for a Long Island boy from New York, but it was much better than being, say, in Minnesota, really, really far away, and the cost of living, like, it shook out the same. And driving distance, even if it's like the cost of, like, you know, a plane ride, it's only one plane ticket for that price of gas. Cram your whole family in there, go see grandma, right? And hello, Suzanne. That guy had to leave New York. Think about why this guy still has money and still is successful. He moved out of New York immediately upon attaining his job at about 25. He's been out there forever since, long enough to get his kids into college and maybe out. I don't know if they're out yet, but he stayed with the same woman. He's married to the same wife. He didn't get divorced. That would have just like destroyed him right there. So everything had to hit him on the way down as far as dropping out of the lucky tree. He had the training and the skill, so that's not at issue here. But, you know, you had to get a little lucky too. But things like not having the marriage blow up, not having the house fall through, you know, being lucky enough to get a mortgage at a time where people could afford mortgages. But a lot of times they cut down the amount of money that these people get. So who would do it? An activist. I looked at that Spider-Man comic. I wasn't impressed by the quality of the new Spider-Man. I wasn't impressed by like, what is she, Asian Mary Jane? Or she's like Ming Jing or something like that. I mean, it was like silly. It was a silly name. It wasn't like, I mean, whatever it was. I don't know what they're doing. Peter Parker, more of a loser than ever in Peter Parker form. And this is like, I don't know if it was just because it was before he got bit. Maybe he'll improve. But you would have to be more of an activist than an artist to want to do this. And we can see artists have moved on. Like, go to your tattoo parlor, give the guy a script, and, like, be like, I'll give you, like, $300. Like, just, like, map it out with stick figures and be like, do these panels. You might be able to get a result for, like, a decent amount of money. Just be like, you know, maybe it makes money. Comics, so many of them don't come to fruition. Am I right, guys? Am I right? There's a lot of fundraisers out there. The comics don't show up a lot. In other strange cases, we've got even more strange stories. Who knows? But people sure are sensitive about them. And I don't know, like, it's not maybe a story you'll hear here, but there's some rumblings about, like, a very popular comic we stopped hearing about that, you know what? I'm just going to stop right there and just say, in a world where people got rugged by Haktua, you know, you have to say, what is going on? Crimlon says, on that rant tonight, love it. Which rant? I can continue. The Perry White rant, or do you want me to move on to my next problem with Cross-Eyed Superman Learns to Fly? I was so distracted by Cross-Eyed Superman Learns to Fly that I missed some other stuff about Cross-Eyed Superman, okay? Cross-Eyed Superman Learning to Fly distracted me from him being cross-eyed because of this. Why is what was being sold as Superman's version of Batman Year One, why is he learning to fly? Why does this Superman need to learn how to fly? Now, Fletcher Williams, Paulie the Latino Slants producer and a friend of mine, we were talking about it, and he says he saw Crypto kind of drag him out of like some kind of bad situation, so maybe Soup's on the mend. So injured Superman, unless it was like, I don't know, like kryptonite missile, I don't know what would make him unable to do it. But that's cross-eyed Superman learning to fly. I didn't notice the cross-eyedness. I just didn't notice it. But like when pointed out to me, too many people said it was real and legit for it to not be. So cross-eyed Superman, that was a real thing. And so his arms were the next thing that was shown to me. They seemed to be weird and like he's just bent out of perspective the wrong way. It looks like cheap CGI, and it's like it's a really bad rendering. Did someone take what they had and made it worse? I don't know yet. I'm not going to watch it again. I'm going to be honest. It wasn't that inspiring, and my knowledge of how copyright law works tells me this. That low effort, really bad Superman song, that was to get around copyright law. I can get around copyright law any way you want. You know what? Like, I happen to have a musical instrument. It's just like, I'm trying to think of a song to play, but that's like The Last Time by the Rolling Stones, right? So if I just didn't want to, pay the whole licensing, like, this is the new approach. Told you once and I told you twice. Never listen to my advice. Is that what you want to hear, Rocco? Hi, wait, let me try again. Said thank you. How's that? There goes monetization, because I think I sticked that one close enough despite the one mistake. All right, here's where I was going with that music thing. Is that if you just play one sustained note and have someone sing the song tunelessly, the licensing goes down. But let me highlight that very generous $10 New Zealand super chat. RRTNZ, who's been a channel member of mine for a few months now, says, gotta go, might be back, we'll see, live long and prosper, everybody. Chuck Norris is the reason Doctor Who hides his real name. The Borg didn't assimilate Chuck Norris, he assimilates them, and resistance is totally futile. Oh, man, could you imagine? If they wanted to win more, they would have a ship called the USS Chuck Norris, and they would answer the question, why don't starships have two warp cores, right? Why don't they have two warp cores? Like, one's offline, or one's damaged, bring the other one online. Well, I guess that would just solve too many plots. It's like a cell phone in the Stephen King movie, right? Stephen King started destroying all technology as early as Maximum Overdrive in 1986? The same year the Challenger blew up. I think it was 86. I had today's news up on my other computer. I closed that tab. Let me find out this day in history. Should take me to the same site. It's always a fun search. I was surprised to find out it was the... I usually try to be really good about making sure to, be on top of things like those anniversaries, because it's cool. All right. This week in history. Okay. Yeah, Challenger 86 explodes after liftoff. Reagan gave a great speech that night. It was supposed to be the State of the Union, and it didn't happen. That was pretty touching. Maybe at the end of the show we'll touch on that more. That one's somber. That one's somber. I'm gonna try to pace the show right. Yeah, slap that like button for your buddy Admiral Teag. It would be very appreciated. Thanks for getting the word out there about that one. 10 is great. This is like, you know what, a very successful weekday show. Remember, you see shows that have like 15 people on a panel. You know what? That means that, you got, if you have 22 concurrents, you have as many concurrents as this show. You have a 15-person panel or 11-person panel. If you have 19 concurrents, you have 8 people watching. All right? That's the way it is. So I'm happy to be here. I'm doing as good as anybody else. There's 3 kinds of lies. Lies, damn lies, and statistics. There's Gavin Blackburn, NASA trying to save money on the O-rings. They were made correctly. It was that the launch temperature was like more than 8 or 9 degrees below minimum. This doctor from this doctor talked to the Morton Thiokol people, and here's the deal. There was no mystery. It just took a really long time for them to let us know how stupidly they handled it. So stupidly. I think it took something like 2 years. We've never seen something screwed up to the level, and I'm sorry guys, my pop screen just started moving around weird, so I had to move it because it's doing its own weird little thing. You know how pop screens are. When I buy my pop screens, I'm not buying the best anymore. But, it took him forever. So the guy, he was sitting there, and in the United States government hearings, it's very, very normal to see a gigantic pitcher of freaking water filled with ice to the top. And now they've moved to smaller ones, but they used to have gigantic ones, right? So this guy has this gigantic pitcher of water. And it's like, we noticed there's a lot of ice in it. And he's talking about, how the launch temperature on the day of the Challenger was on the day of the Challenger launch was 50 degrees. I think it was the low, and they launched in 39. So they were they knew that the O-rings would not expand to fill the gaps that kept the solid rocket booster fuel from detonating. So what happens is he takes off his bangle bracelet. He throws it into a glass of water. First, he pours the glass of water very conspicuously, making sure to get some ice in there. And he says, "This is a bangle bracelet made from the same material as the O-ring. My daughter makes it." And he squeezes it to show it's the squeezy ones, the rubbery ones like Madonna would wear. Look at the Madonna video for a version. She's got 400 of them on. But they're just made of they're made of neoprene. It's a neoprene gasket. So what happened was, if I think I have the material right, if not, I'm really close. But what happens is when it gets hot to a certain point, they will expand and fill the gaps. Now, if this doesn't happen, if it's too cold and the outside of the solid rocket booster is slow or faulty in its seal, which will happen if it's cold, the solid rocket booster fuel will all go up at once. And that's what happened to the poor Challenger. Was the O-ring didn't seal. And when he finished telling the story, which took just about as long as I told you, he mentioned the launch temperature and the minimum launch, and he took the bangle bracelet out of the glass of water and crushed it in his hands. It didn't bend anymore. He put pressure on it, and it shattered like stiff, brittle plastic, and fell all over the place. And he's like, when it gets cold, it doesn't work at all. And then he talked about how the people from Morton Thiokol they were in the clear. They're like, so this company's going to jail, right? Nope. They tried to get the launch canceled for days. They're like, this looks bad. No, we can't sign off. And they refused to sign off of it until they were really pressured hard. So that's what happened to the poor people in the Challenger. And it didn't make us feel any better to find out they'd activated their oxygen. Sorry, I just taking a little sip of water. Nothing like those metal straws. Does anyone else love them, or am I the only one? And thank you. I did my best. Hey, Dave C. Is saying goodnight to RRTNZ. Yeah, NASA. So it wasn't here's the thing. There was no money to be saved. It was it wasn't about money. It was about money in the sense of, we've got Nichelle Nichols and other dignitaries there. We can't scrub this launch. That's how crazy they were to launch this death machine. and to strap a person onto the top of a giant kaboom boom and ride a fountain of fire into the freaking sky. I mean, you know, there was another shuttle accident that happened not too long after it with a long time after it, but with George W. Bush with the Columbia. And the Columbia speech was like one of the it was more relatable, but the thing was, George W. Bush, you can see that it was built on the Challenger speech, and the thing was, after they wrote a great speech, they remembered that their boss was George W. Bush, and some of the lines in this are just like a little bit of a head scratcher. Here's the George W. Bush one, guys. I like George W. Bush's rhetoric most of the time, and I thought that this was one of his better speeches when he gave it, because he at least meant it. But yeah, they had a much better speech written, and then they realized, oh wait, George W. Bush is the guy we work for. He's only just so good at the talking thing. Whatever else you think about him, like well-spoken, he was not. So here we go. My fellow Americans, this day has brought terrible news and great sadness to our country. At 9 o'clock this morning, Mission Control in Houston lost contact with our space shuttle Columbia. A short time later, debris was seen raining from the sky above Texas. The Columbia is lost. There are no survivors. On board was a crew of 7. Colonel Rick Husband, Lieutenant Colonel Michael Anderson, Commander Laurel Clark, Captain David Brown, Commander William McCool, Dr. Kalpana Chawla, and Ilan Ramon, a colonel in the Israeli Air Force. These men and women assumed great risk in the service to all humanity. So far, so good. I love it. And then it starts to show the intellectual level that George Bush can talk to. In an age when spaceflight has come to seem almost routine, it is easy to overlook the dangers of travel by rocket and the difficulties of navigating the fierce outer atmosphere of the Earth. These astronauts knew the dangers, and they faced them willingly. Notice that they had a high and noble purpose in life, but because of their courage and idealism, we'll miss them all the more. He goes on for a while longer, but that was the best part of his speech. He inspired some of us, right? It was pretty good. But you know what? Like, he wasn't Ronald Reagan, and he couldn't get it done the way Ronald Reagan got it done. 13 votes. We're getting somewhere on this one. Tell us your memories, anything about this one, if you remember. Remember when the USS Missouri exploded and the U.S. Navy tried to pin it on a gay love triangle rather than accept responsibility? Yes, that was something. And it took like 2 years to come out, and their family was like, he wasn't gay. Like, and then I think the thing was, whether he was gay or not, there was ambiguous enough stuff for them to make it look like he was or claim that he was. And whether he was gay or not, it didn't really matter. It wasn't his fault that, like, whatever. It was like, was it that the powder didn't ignite? Did it slow burn and then explode? Or did it not? Were they unable to clear the embers? The turret went off while being loaded and blew up inside. The ship got really messed up. And that was it for our battleship fleet, too. Who's BWP? I'm not sure yet. A reminder, when the U.S. Navy, BWP is, Criblod's right. You know what? But it was, I think the deal was this. There were some gay people, but, like, the whole thing was like, the investigation didn't go well, because the thing was, like, in our military, a lot of times people, I don't know why, but, like, especially in NASA, we find, like, and it's endemic to militaries around the world, like, they seem to have an element where they resist releasing the investigation to everyone, and that just gets everyone clamoring to find out more. And then usually, like, something comes out that's a little head shaking, right? So I don't know. This one's so long ago. The USS Missouri, was it 1983? Like, I think it was like, I went to see Return of the Jedi and then read that in the newspaper when I came home. And I was a little kid. I was like looking for movie times if I read that one. But maybe they were in fact gay. But I know that at the end of the day, the decision was, and who knows what came of it when they investigated it that way. Because we've seen an overcompensation in the other direction with this DEI stuff, which is just crazy. Just crazy DEI stuff all over the map with that one. But what happened with that was, yeah, it looked like a love triangle, and they tried to make it look like the guy wanted this stuff to go off, but then there were too many variables to be sure, and it was just not enough to really go on. If I remember correctly, don't quote me on this one. I'm not an expert testimony here, but let's go on to our next story. We talked about Captain America. I'm sorry, Cross-Eyed Superman learns to fly. Here's the last point on that one. Why is he learning to fly? He's supposed to have been origined. Why is he learning to fly? If he was injured in that thing where Crypto helps him out, why was he injured if he's Superman? Who's running around that can hurt Superman? Who can hurt Superman? Superman? I mean, it was a little ridiculous. Also, by the way, the American League of Baseball was founded 124 years ago today in 1901. 125, that means next year we'll get all sorts of cool, this might be the 125th season. Imagine how cool those hats are going to be. They'll probably have a patch on the hat all season. That'll be a collector's item. Although I got to say, I prefer the Yankee hat with nothing on it. Maybe I'll get a World Series that I liked. I was at the 96 one. But like Cross-Eyed Superman should not be learning to fly. Let's move on to the next one. What's going on with the Captain America what the fuck thing? And why is he just digging a hole that's deeper for this movie? A nuclear man hurt Superman. Are you kidding around, or did they nuke him? Because I guess I can believe that if he got nuked, he was messed up for a day or two, and maybe he couldn't see for a while. Maybe he was flash blind, and that's why he's cross-eyed. Tell you what, I was a tanker. Those 120 millimeter rounds got me going sometimes. You know what? I mean, the guy from Iron Maiden, the singer, seems to be the coolest motherfucker in the world. He bought a bunch of classic military equipment, tanks and planes, and he flies them around, and he's really into it. And we find out that he's never really drank or done many drugs or anything, or any drugs. Like, he's just a health nut, and he's a military history enthusiast, and he just, like, reads, and he can rebuild a tank with the help of his, like, he's not that much of an expert, but, like, he can be useful rebuilding, like, the tank. He's not useless out there with the experts that he pays for. It's his hobby. We saw some show on the History Channel. He's driving around his property in his crazy tank, and he's just like, that's what he does for fun. But you can see how, like, throwing that shell over the horizon, being the person to fire it must be, or any capacity in that, would make you feel powerful. And these were, like, if it was what I remember, didn't battleships throw, like, Volkswagen of the time size shells, like, up to 8 miles, maybe 30 miles with the right elevation? What was the range on those? But if nukes hit Superman, you talk about in Superman 4? The quest for peace. That's why I must become Superman 4, the quest for peace. By the way, I should read up on this one in Latino history as a Latino guy. And I'm going to invite also my pal Fletcher on, because he seems to have a handle on this Superman thing. But on the morning of January 28th, 1917, a Mexican maid named Carmelita Torres refuses to put up with the indignity she had been made to suffer every morning while she started working across the border in the United States. Torres' objection to the noxious chemical, they're delousing her every day. If you're someone who goes across every day, some kind of card or accommodation might be out there in the future. Because we're going to find a way to work this out. I think under this present attitude in the United States is that we're probably going to try to move forward and figure out what the hell is going on with this. But as far as the Captain America thing, why is Anthony Mackie saying Captain America doesn't represent America? That's like saying, Spider-Man has nothing to do with spiders. That's like, it's like Sony tried having a Spider-Man universe without Spider-Man. Look how that went. So, this lady definitely was a case for some kind of, like, ID. Then today we could probably make it fairly safe and scan thumbs and stuff like that. But as far as the Captain America thing, Anthony Mackie said the other day not to associate Captain America with America. Okay, you know what? Don't associate Captain America with freaking success either. Let's see. Gavin says, Lord of the Rings director Peter Blackburn is a World War I aircraft freak. I know. And I've been upstate New York where the World War I Air Flight Museum is. By the way, they no longer try to dope the wings of the airplane and make them out of canvas and hemp. They make them out of, like, vinyl. And it works fine, apparently. It's made it a lot easier for them to maintain a lot of them. Some of them are kept in the original way, but They used to put dope on the outside of the airplanes. It was this thing that waterproofed the canvas and make it more airworthy. But director Peter Teags is a World War One aircraft freak. He also started his own plastic model company making large-scale and high-end World War One model called Wingnut Wings. I want one! Wow. I have my, you know what though? Admiral Teag has the first toy maker to the King. Doomcock also is the first model maker to Admiral Teag, and he loves building them so much. It's great. Sean gets such great fun out of that. His new video dropped. You should subscribe to the Sci-Fi Model Guy. His channel is on the channel page for this one, and it'll be in the Enterprise discussions when he's on them, and in the Star Trek discussions we have. We're going to have a Star Trek video drop in the next couple of days for yesterday's Enterprise. It's a really good discussion. It is up to video. It's up to video essay level. We have 3 straight minutes of video to start the episode. And then we have our panel discussion, and I might add more video to that. I could drop it right now, but I'm trying to go for the most engagement I can get you. And I kept it to, it's way under 30 minutes. I think it's 22 minutes. It was 18, but I set up a introduction where there's a synopsis, and then there's a panel discussion. And it has to be rewritten. The live synopsis does not work for the panel discussion. I got to stay away from it. The live synopsis just doesn't work. The live synopsis is for live. The live synopsis works great when we're live. It doesn't work great with the uploads. So I have to write a new one for that one. It took forever to deliver it too. I have a hard time reading gets hard once that red light goes on. An RPM 33 aircraft, LOL. Yeah, you know what? Are you talking about his frame? No, that's not his frame rate experiment, was it? That was a worthy experiment, but I don't know if we can say that experiment was a total success, was it? Sorry, guys, I'm just coughing a little bit here. It happens to me every once in a while. It's a fun time to have you all here, though. Let's talk about the next thing on the bullet point list. Anthony Mackie, not very interesting, because let's face it, he's really screwed up that Captain America thing anyway. Not him so much as the Disney people, but he can't wait for it to be over. I bet you, they told him, say dumb things so you have something to blame the failure of this movie on. But, do you really want it on you? So, I don't know. So, Cross-Eyed Superman learns to fly. George Lucas won't let Steven Spielberg direct a Star Wars movie. There's a lot of weird Star Wars stuff coming on. Scarif podcast, Always Sunny on Scarif, will be here next Tuesday. The guest will be installed on Tuesday. And the next 2 shows have guests. Thursday, Sub Commander Tall from Axe Good Guy. And then on Tuesday next, we're going to have the other guests I just mentioned. We're going to have the Scarif podcast, Always Sunny on Scarif. So it's 1 week. We got Star Trek coming up this Thursday with Sub Commander Tal on X. That should be big. And then we have coming up after that, we have what is that in my PFP? Help me out here. My PFP. I'm not sure. I might also I don't know what are the hip gamer kids saying today. I need to take that comment down. That was on really long enough. Sorry about that, guys. Every once in a while, Admiral Teag, Anthony Mackie is backpedaling and trying to clarify his comments now. So he's not standing by him. He's backpedaling. I don't like what he said, but maybe I would have had a little more respect for him if he didn't backpedal on it, if he meant it. So this is all about money for him. Or he's going to say, everyone's owed one fuck up. This movie has just been the bugaboo of his career. I guess it's going to wreck him. It sucks. I really enjoyed Sam and Falcon in the Avengers movie, and I thought that Falcon could have been okay, but the Falcon and the Winter Snowman, or whatever the hell it's called, that show was the stupidest, man. That was the stupidest. And is that you in PFP? Oh, in my no, that's not me in my avatar. That's me. That's Pierce Brosnan, or someone who looks similar to Pierce Brosnan in the idea of Grok. Then I just use that as my avatar. So I have Pierce Brosnan Star Trek avatar, which I refuse to wear for Section 31, and I have this Pierce Brosnan nautical man o' the sea, because he's still an admiral, right? So yeah, okay, I understand now. Falcon and the Winter Soldier was, yeah, it was an apologist TV show for exactly what you said, Gavin. Let me highlight what Gavin said. It's easier for me to put it up there than to say it. It's true. This is the truth. This is just the truth. Look at your screen. It's the truth. And not only that, but they glamour. It wasn't even an apology. It was like recruiting for the Flag Smashers. The hell? Hey, DJ Ronnie G, it's good to see you, buddy. Hello to you, too. You look like you're going somewhere in the cold with that bicycle on your shoulder. Be careful out there. It is freezing in the Northeast. I don't know where exactly you are, but it's freezing in the Northeast of the United States. But you know what? As far as the thing that we do here most, Star Trek, let me jump off the Captain America thing, because it's been done to death all day, and I'll do my thing. I saw the Red Letter Media Section 31 review of Star Trek, and I gotta say, they could have had it out a day earlier if they just hadn't have done a skit that I was completely uninterested in. It wasn't bad. It was kind of funny. It started to get to the point where it was just going on. It was going on and on. It was going on too long. I wanted their fun little quipping. I wanted it to end. I'd had enough of their fun quipping. It was time for them to do something else than quip and have fun. And it got more and more progressively boring. I couldn't stay with it. And I agree, I think, is what my note was. Here we go. I made it 33 minutes into their 44-minute broadcast. I think I agree, because this is what they said of value. Kurtzman Trek has devolved into the same three things over and over. Revenge, super weapon, unearned emotional arc. And they're right. That's essentially true. In this one, it was shot like shit, and it looked like it was shot in an iPhone. The thing they did of value was they showed that there was like 78 rack snap focuses in it. And this is a video snap focus. I do them all the time. Oh, hey. Anthony Mackey's tweet. Thank you for that. Dave C is he's helping me out. Dave C's a great guy. Dave C has Anthony Mackey's right. I got Anthony Mackey's tweet for you right here. All right, Mackey. All right, Mackey. Mackey says, let me be clear about this. I'm a proud American, and taking on the shield of a hero like Cap is the honor of a lifetime. Is that really true anymore after all we've done to this freaking character? I have the utmost respect for those who serve and have served our country. I'm going to take him at his word on that sentence. I'll take him at his word in that sentence. In context, I don't think it belonged in here, but okay. Cap has universal characteristics that people all over the world can relate to. Did he follow this up with more guys? Did he contextualize this further? I don't know if I really... You know what? I'm glad that he's trying to, undo some of the damage, but this is what it really was. Hello, Ronnie. I was at my mom. Yeah, a lot of people weren't around for it, right? If you're under 30, it was they're 38 years old, or you really got to be about... No one under, I would say, 35 could remember. 34 would have a shot of remembering it firsthand, but you probably heard of it. Teacher who wasn't chosen to go up must have felt so lucky. Yeah, right? They were damn, I'm not going to get to write a book. And it's maybe I do get to write that book after all. I just got on the X bus. I'm in the boroughs. Oh, you're in the city? Hey, I know what you mean, the express bus. All right, hey man, it's a big MetroCard swipe, but it saves you so much trouble, right? Am I right? Red Letter Media insists on themselves. That's a good way of putting it. It's a good way of putting it. When they wanted to show the confusion of Section 31, which was legitimate, it was a confusing episode of a confusing story. Also, a dumb and poorly made story. They have as good good a command of the audio and as good of a command of the video editing as the people who did this last thing. And, it was just when you take a stronger look at it.
Enhance 15 to 23.
Thank you, Harrison. When you take a stronger look at it and slow it down, there was something it was like a minute worth of snap focuses, and they kept it to just the snap focus. This is a video editing snap trick, and I don't know why they did it so much, but there were so many cuts, and they accentuated it. They were savage. They were just like zoom cut after zoom cut after jump zoom cut after jump zoom cut, and they it was like, what did you do to your show?
Saying that I crushed her skull and that I shot her.
Yeah, and I don't know what was up with your editor.
Had a mechanical arm.
Yeah, well, you know what? I got this to say to Kurtzman.
You almost got away with it, didn't you?
Yeah, but now that you've done what you've done to Star Trek,
I don't care.
and wow, we got a few people showing up on X. Hello, X. I don't see any hellos from you guys, but I am looking back to my other device, keeping an eye on it, because that's the only way to be sure. Got to take off and nuke it from orbit. It's the only way to be sure. And you know what? Now we hear about George Lucas talking to Steven Spielberg about not wanting him to direct a Star Wars movie. First of all, I don't know if he's too good anymore, but I'll tell you this.
I don't care.
I really don't. So let's see. In answer to the poll, I was in a junior high school and I was in the library, says Wes Cagle, who's also been a co-host on here a few times, good friend of mine. And when the launch took place, it was being played on the TV. They wheeled in for the launch viewing. What was the reaction in the room? And everyone's saying hello. And this is kind of like the old days where I can talk to everybody and I'm only a little bit behind. It's good to see all of you. And I would love to know what the reaction in the room was. I was high on marijuana. Buddy Hepburn, you make a appearance in the next upload. I made sure to snap in on you because we had your questions made one of your questions made the upload about. It was the one about Guinan. Sean answering that one. It was a real good question. It needed to be asked, and Sean gave his best answer. It was fun. Making the upload the last 2 days has been fun. It was going to be a quick upload. It was so good. Then I wrote the conversation was so good, it compelled a really good script. Hearing the really good script compelled me to want to write a really good show. And hello, Germ. You know what? Are you free? Do you want a fourth and long? Don't answer that because you're just going to have a chance to do it before you do. But maybe you do answer it. But I am going to resolute Germs X and just fourth and longing him one. You know what? Like, I was so weirded out. I love LDG, but his way of abbreviating people's names and nicknaming people is so different from everyone else's. He calls Antiderivative Jill AJ, and he calls Resolute Germ Rezo. So I was talking about something we were all at, and he's like, well, then Rezo said to AJ, and I'm like, who the fuck are you talking about? It was confusing. But you know what? God love LDG. He's on his way to doing some interesting stuff that Prometheus keeps rolling along. At any rate, the Section 31 Red Letter Media, when they wanted to show how confusing and poorly shot it was, they went like a whole minute too long. I'm going to be honest, a lot of YouTubers think in terms of 7, 8, 9 minutes, right? Critical Drinker, he's like got so many subs, he doesn't have to give a shit about it. He makes a lot of 6-minute videos, just says what he has to say and gets out of there. I don't have a ton of money and I don't have 1 million subscribers, so I do try to give you a 6-minute video anyway, if there's not more to it. The Tiona Rainwater upload is not doing good for 2 reasons. 1, she's not exciting, and 2, it's not that long. I'm not being shown to a lot of people with the Tiona Rainwater one because it's just not that long. I didn't try to rug people with a mid-roll video that they didn't need. The Tiona Rainwater video in the 1923 stories and the 1923 season 1 stuff, it's an important story, but they don't really do a good job of rolling it out there for everyone to see. And as far as in the publicity, she was the B story through the entire season, okay? So it was important, and I figured it would be an opportunity with her to get a lot of views. But what happened is, Tiona Rainwater, only about 127. So people are just going to make it up on the fly with her and just fill it in. She had a great dramatic arc. So I would say I enjoyed her story. And it took me a couple of views to clear it up. Let's see, we got more Challenger stories here. The characters in F and WS are Walker and Zemo. The rest are... The good characters in Falcon Winter Soldier are Walker and Zemo. The rest are trash. Yeah. You know what? Walker was great because he did nothing wrong, and they pinned so much stuff on him. They pinned so much on Walker. What did he do wrong? What did Walker do wrong? Captain America killed so many more people when he thought Bucky was dead. And that turned out to be for nothing. So they were mad at him for killing an enemy combatant who had just killed American war hero Battlestar. When they said that he had a gold star for bravery in combat, and they made him that, when they made him an American hero as part of his lore, and then they did him in the Chad killing to make us feel bad, well, you know what? You have to hold him to the same you can't hold John Carter to anything different than you hold anyone else to, okay? You have to hold it to, Walker. You can't hold Walker to the standards that you hold anyone but Cap to. So Cap kills like a dozen people when Bucky dies, trying to save him and all that other shit. So if he wanted to kill some lousy piece of shit garbage who had some flag staffer who was going to, help Carly make a human barbecue, I mean, and Carly, Freckle, Jesus, was the worst. I was in study hall in high school when the Challenger went up. The Challenger could have been even more traumatic. They could have intended to send up Big Bird They had intended to send up Big Bird in Sesame Street, costume and everything. I'm processing that. I know you're right. I'm gonna guess that one. The Teacher in Space program was like a 3-year search, so I'm going to guess that one was kicked around for, God, even 10 seconds is too long. But if that was kicked, I'm going to guess probably also like sending up Nichelle Nichols went through people's minds because she did so much work for them, and they're just like, Big Bird would be more appropriate. I don't know. It's weird. That should have been, like, I'm glad it wasn't Nichelle Nichols, but she was the most worthy people for a space flight. They sent up John Glenn. Imagine if they'd blown up John Glenn, American hero. And it's good to see everybody's being pals and saying hi to each other. And hi, Dave. And let's see, the launch viewing was very quickly ended. And we were sent back to class. And the teachers were freaked out. And the students were just stunned. In my high school, my high school was an after-school special. Nerdrotic would not have been kicked out of this high school. He would have been valedictorian. I went to high school in New York fucking City. I mean, I don't know where Nerdrotic is from, what town in California he's from. I don't know if the town he's from is bad. It might be. It might be valid to say that like his high school experience was equally bad. But like any high school where the bully was like as cool as Nerdrotic, because I'm guessing he got kicked out of school for a lot of things, including violence. But any school where like the guy who's cutting and ditching and getting into trouble is as cool as Nerdrotic, and that's your problem child, you're doing okay. Unless he's violent, right? I mean, unless he's really violent. I don't know what figured into him getting kicked out of school. Maybe he just didn't go. Maybe he was on drugs in class. Maybe it was grades. I don't know. But he does, like, he got it together now. Don't get me wrong. But, in my high school, Nerdrotic would have been valedictorian. The high school bully in my high school grabbed me and threw me against the brick wall so hard that I saw stars. And as my eyes were clearing, I saw the World Trade Center over his shoulders, because that's where I live. And as he was yelling at me and bullying me, no, that didn't happen. But he, told me that I was going to tie this fishing line around the bottom of the school Christmas tree, around the base of it, right? And that if I didn't want to get beat up, I would do that. So I crawled on my hands and knees, as inconspicuously as I could, up the main freaking hallway of the high school, moving from one student display to another, hiding, sometimes I got up and catwalked a little bit. It was crazy. I was so afraid of getting beat up, and I couldn't rat. You don't do that in high school, I guess, or maybe you should. I don't know, but look what came of it for me. So anyway, I end up getting to the Christmas tree. I tied this thing around it. And at that point, the bully kicks the door open. I think he was suspended. He was making a point that, you can't suspend him. I run this school. And by the way, this thing was it for the bully as far as being a student at that school. But this is what the bully did. He went absolutely batshit. He started hammering snowballs down the hallway, and the principal came out. The principal started running down the hallway towards the bully and yelling at him, right? The bully had a semi-illegal souped up dirt bike, right? Like it was legal, but you couldn't ride it on the street, but he did anyway. I didn't know that he tied like 250-pound fishing line to the back of his motorcycle that he made me tie around the bottom of the Christmas tree base. And the statute of limitations is up on this, guys. I'm in the clear. But this guy took off on his motorcycle after cursing out the principal and telling him that he ran the school. And he jumped in there, and the principal was yelling at him and running down the hallway. I don't know why. He just should have walked back in his office. The guy left, right? But as he takes off on his motorcycle, the Christmas tree takes off, like a few seconds later, and just goes. And there I am, like, I managed to get like 10 feet away, and I just like started slowly moving up the stairs, like nothing happened. And I just saw the Christmas tree go helicoptering, like gyroing down the hallway, and it took out the freaking principal, got him under the legs. He flew up in the air, he fell, he went tits up, he landed on his ass, he broke at least one leg, or maybe even his hip. Big medical procedure. Thank God he was like otherwise unharmed, and it was fixable, I guess. But there he was. The guy was a freaking doctor of education. Busted up by the school bully worse than anyone student. I would say this though. He did try to protect us, so I'm not going to call him incompetent. Was dropped when someone bothered pointing out the costume was just too big, so they dropped it. That person was trying to talk the person down off their intellectual idiocy. And hey, Octanon, it's good to see you, my man. Let's see. Nicole Nichols was a scientific ambassador of sorts on the NASA payroll. Yeah, I saw a lot of stuff from Nichelle, and it was all great. I enjoyed it all. I saw a lot of stuff from Nichelle out there, and it was very easy to view and very enjoyable to see it. And that was a great break from class. It was a great break from regular science class. Got to see the Star Trek chick, and we loved her, and she was so cool, and she was so happy to be there. Nichelle Nichols knew how to be an educational filmmaker. I had a William Shatner educational film, I remember too, where he did the 3 branches of the U.S. government: executive, legislative, and judicial. Those are the 3 branches of the United States government. Shackled in chains, saying you don't want to be where I am. Oh man, I hope you're just saying some fun stuff or repeating something relevant. I hope you're okay. I've seen LIMO, so I guess LMAO, so I guess you're okay. The bully was in basketball varsity team. Their face was so fucked up. Hopefully he is doing okay, but frankly, I don't care. The OSS place was surrounded by barbed wire and fencing. Oh, we're talking about Falcon and Winter Soldier on that last comment. Oh yeah, okay. Okay, so some of this is about. Okay, it's a Falcon and the Winter Snowman sandwich. I get it. And hell, buddy, it's good to see you all. And wow, 14 people. We're blowing up the numbers. Finally, YouTube is telling people I'm here. We got some engagement on X, and we're holding steady at a decent number on YouTube. It's nice to have you all here and be your entertainer for this evening. And let's see where we are. Buck 18. Let's have the next story. All right. I've been doing this here and there. The shows do great in post, so I'm not worried about this one too much. And it's doing better today than most others. Thank you so much for supporting this channel, and I really appreciate it. Tweeting out that I'm live would help me even more. And X, I keep looking over at that other second device, and I don't see any. I don't see any. I don't see any messages. So I'm sorry, guys. Just watching all these different computers. 2 screens is one thing. Several computers, that's starting to get a little bit difficult. But here's the deal. Tiona Rainwater is a worthy video. It's 3.5 minutes long, so I don't think YouTube cares about it. It got 140 views in an hour, and then it got snapped off. Everybody on the channel watched it together. So here, watch this. This is how you drop a link. Check out my 1923 video. All right. And then I just check for spelling, even though I probably did do something wrong still. And so there you go. do me a favor if you can. If you can get to it, go to the 1923 video and give it a like and watch it later. Like, it needs a few likes. It needs some love. It's starting to take off today. It had a delayed reaction for some strange reason. It's getting viewed a couple of times an hour now after just like it blew up 140 views in an hour. Me and the guys in the show were all happy about it. And then like YouTube just snapped it off. Paramount had that much money. But the thing is, I don't know why the Yellowstone people wouldn't be on our side. I don't know why people wouldn't be on our side. But 19 votes now, 3 more to scientific viability. Well, this one doesn't need to reach scientific viability. Do you remember where you were when the Challenger was lost? Showing that most of our people here are, about 40 or older, which is fine. Welcome. And you youngins, welcome to you too. We'll show you a good time. Back in my day, we used to do crazy stuff in high school. By the way, I still have like almost the exact same type of Black Sabbath or Rolling Stones t-shirt, whichever one it might have been, in high school that I was wearing when that Christmas tree went a-flying. But 16% of us weren't around. That's a considerable portion. That's why I always say things like, it's only semi in jest, like when I say that is what they used to call a newspaper, and soon it will be necessary. And thanks for liking the stream. We are doing real good on likes today, better than usual. 15 is amazing. You're really helping me. And 10 of you watching also is really helpful. It really does make me proud of you guys for supporting me and helping me out. You guys are something. The tea on a rainwater video, give it some love. It's worthy. It's 3 minutes long. I tell her whole story. You have to actually pay a lot of attention. Her story is like the most vague and the most distant from the other ones. She's going to end up there, and her family now owns the Yellowstone Ranch. Is it 16? All right, 16. All right, sweet. All right, so Yellowstone. Her family, Tiona's family, spoiler, we know she makes it. This is why I don't watch Yellowstone yet. And I don't want to watch it till after the next season of 1923 in a few weeks. Because, it's being continued. Let's talk about this right now. 1883, 1923, Yellowstone, and 2024, which became renamed The Madison. All right. 1883 was one season and can't go any further. It's a really great and compelling, brutally true story that has a lot to do with what would go on in the time frame of about 1853 or 1843. By 1873, it was stretching credulity. But in 1873, you could have pulled it off a little more, because in 1876, right where they're headed, there's a huge battle with the American Guardians, which is something I'm never going to give up using. I think it's fun to say. But you know what? Landman is pretty good. I can't wait to watch the new one. I think it dropped today, right? Maybe Landman's something that I'll start doing when I might start doing a Taylor Sheridan roundup. I'm in early on the Taylor Sheridan stuff. There aren't a whole ton of Taylor Sheridan people, but I'm not fluent on Yellowstone, which is his most prolific show. The thing is, it's over and there's like 70 episodes. I can catch up in like 2 weeks. The thing that is important is to know the meta of the characters who are being passed on. The characters on Yellowstone, the ones that were Taylor Sheridan created, are going on to the Madison. So the Madison, I don't know what it is. It's the Madison River is in that area. It could be the name of the ranch. It could be the name of the area they live. But it's a new family from New York goes to Yellowstone to live there and get away from it after a tragedy. That I read in Entertainment Weekly. So you know what? I got a message from Paramount Plus saying it was dropping. Is Tulsa King also Taylor Sheridan, or is that their one good show that's not him? But like all Taylor Sheridan shows, he does leave town and go to like Texas or something. But yeah, no, Tulsa King is pretty good. People like it. People like Stallone. I don't know if that show is as good as the fact as it has Stallone, and we all love him, right? A couple of Taylor Sheridan shows had to be retooled. I thought that maybe it was a shame that what happened with the show Lioness. Lioness should have just been outright canceled. it wasn't working. New time, new lioness, or whatever it is, new lioness. You know what? It's not going to solve Nicole Kidman's problems of being a wooden actress. I love Zoe Saldana. She's gorgeous. I could look at her all day. I think she's beautiful. But you know what? In that show, that show wasn't so great. On the Anthony Mackie thing, he wasn't originally speaking. Wasn't he originally speaking to an Italian magazine or something? So one can see him trying to make an international appeal by saying that it's not an American thing. Yeah, his choice of words was really terrible, though. The leading trait isn't. I mean, his character's called Captain America, so I guess what he has to say is like, remember, it's a comic book Captain America. It's not the America of the real world. He's free of the blame and ills that some people might put on America. And, you know, he represents what's good about America, idealized America, and no one would have argued with him. Like, people would say, yeah, you know, it's kind of idealized, but you know what? It's an incredibly enjoyable and compelling story. And yes, that's just like mass transit you're hearing outside, because what's going on is StreamYard's just, it isn't working so good. Yeah, you know what? Regular Yellowstone, here's the problem. This is the spoiler-free way to watch Yellowstone. I'm going to be honest. Here we go. In order of chronological occurrence, it's pretty easy to figure out. It's 1883, followed by 1923, followed by Yellowstone, followed by the Madison, which is yet to debut. But it's coming. And I heard there's going to be some other spin-offs of Yellowstone. So I think it's possible some of them might not even be Sheridan's, because they're like, all of a sudden, co-creator of Yellowstone showed up next to his name. Is he trying to king make some of the directors? I don't know. But I did go with the oldest gamer's recommendation and just leave the conversation with the person who said they directed Yellowstone when their answers started to sound way too AI. Still not a great way to handle it, but I could see that as the intent. People make mistakes. Maybe he was drunk. I don't. You know what? I would be fired up too. Better answer would have been like, "I'm sick and tired." Who would? Let me ask you this. Put it in the comments. Who would feel different if he'd been like, "I am sick and tired of this stupid movie. I have been stuck with this project and I've filmed 5 movies." If you want to say he represents America or doesn't represent America, I don't care. I had a couple of drinks before the press junket and it was a nightmare. I still stand behind all the social justice nonsense, so I'm not going to get in trouble saying that. Identity politics forever. Yay! I was just angry. Like, would you respect him more if he at least was like, I was just pissed. I'm sick of this movie. If he didn't back off anything else, because we know he's kind of like literally handcuffed, leave it to Disney to handcuff a black man publicly. I'm back. Just here's how to watch Yellowstone. Watch the Modern Time series, but Modern Time series, but treat it like Jimmy is the main character. Then it's just an uplifting redemption story. I did catch that. Is Jimmy the kid who lives in the... They catch him and he has the same backstory as Cole. He's run away from like a really tough school and he has broken into their domicile or whatever it might be. He's broken into the stables to like hide from the cold. It's really... You will not make it in the cold out there. It's like it was 21 degrees below when they filmed the fall. This scene that I love, that I always meme and reference for you guys, was filmed in 21 degrees below zero. Harrison Ford was complaining about it, but Harrison Ford is also said to be broke, so he doesn't have any say in what he has to do. But this scene was said to be 21 below.
The word decent doesn't apply to me.
How did he manage to move so effortlessly and look so limber and spry? Because he used to be James Bond. If Anthony Mackie played Captain Globalist Authoritarian, well, radioactive, it's good to see you. Would he have called it a great thing for America? I'm still trying. Like, here's the thing. I am going to take him down for this one because I think he's wrong. I'm going to... First of all, I out of hand condemn his words. I condemn his words out of hand. And to be fair, Anthony Mackie is now sort of condemning his words too, saying, yo, I fucked up. But would anyone give him credit if he was like, yo, I was just pissed about the movie? You know, only in America could I have made this money. I love this country too. I'm sorry about that. I'm so sick of this movie. Would anyone respect him more? I think I would. I would give him a mulligan if he said the movie had driven him absolutely crazy. But it's almost more like Kathleen Kennedy was in charge and she was just like, you know...
The word decent doesn't apply to me.
21 degrees below zero. 21 degrees! How do you pull that off? And hello to all 11 of you watching now. It's a real honor. And hello to the people watching over on X. Honor to have you guys here too. Interact with me if you want a little bit, X. I'm looking. Keeping my eye on that other device. And let's see what else is going on. I had a couple more bullet points. Let's check out your chats. Dave C says, hail. Wes Cagle says, hail to thee as well. I know you're out there. I can hear you breathing. Can you hear me? No. Jimmy is the drug addict kid they take in and brand in season 1. Yes. He's he eventually becomes a skilled cowboy, gets a girl, and Costa even lets him leave to move to Texas and work for Travis, Taylor Sheridan. Yeah. And Cole Hauser has got a similar story, right? Cole Hauser is Rip Wheeler. Cole Hauser, I didn't know this. He's Wings Hauser's son. And yeah, I did just get up for a second because the apartment's really small, and I'm sorry. I had to get something a little bit for my palate. My throat is killing me. I've been coughing up a lung just like everyone else. I have to mute. Excuse me. All right. I'm sorry. That's over with. Just recovering from that one. A little coughing bout. And Halo locked it on. And I love the key feeding. I love the key feeding. And Outlaw Bill says the Challenger, it blew the fuck up. It blew the fuck up. Yeah, it absolutely did. In a big old way. That was the biggest explosion I'd seen to that point. I mean, wow. And it was tragic. And for the rest of the time I was in high school, those people's picture were in a trophy case. The trophy case right near where the Christmas tree had been. Accurate. Oh. Okay. By lost, I mean lost in the pursuit of science, lost in the race to space. It was lost. It was an operational loss. And as Ronald Reagan said, the future doesn't belong to the faint of heart. The future belongs to the brave. That's what he said. And that speech was one of the most inspirational speeches in American presidential history. While not a Pearl Harbor-like event, we needed someone to say the right thing. And he showed up, and he did it. And it was great. And sometimes the right guy in the right place, you know. You know what? Ronald Reagan did it. Why?
Because I can.
That's seriously all you need to know. He had the ability to do it. He put his healing powers to work. He was able to make a nation, if not the people who are lost, people feel better, but make a nation feel a little better. Make up for the fact that canceling the State of the Union was an unusual but correct move. We had to do it. It would not have been right to go on with it anymore, but that's what I meant by lost. Yeah, everybody's coughing, right? Sorry I locked it on. Hoping you'll feel better soon. My friend Lance Nielsen's been coughing since he was on with me. I was listening to his show today. He was muting as much as he could, but I hope he gets success. If you live in England, go to the Outcast Creative and make sure that you find a way to sign a petition to keep that theater in London open. They're going to close the Prince Charles Theater in London. It's been around a long time. Apparently, it's one of the few theaters left. It's going to be made into a luxury hotel, and the way to hear it from Lance, they don't need another hotel. Apparently, they're good on luxury hotels. So, you know what? It would be great if you have a UK zip code, you can sign the petition. Head over there. And it's good to see so many people piling in over on YouTube, and it's good to see all of you on X. Although you're not the most talkative bunch, I know you guys. I know you guys are out there. You know what, Bill? You know what? I have a question for you. You know, how dare I? How dare I? You know why?
He had a mechanical arm.
You almost got away with it, didn't you?
How dare you?
How dare you? That's every day Outlaw Bill and I DM back and forth, just those three words. How dare you? How dare you? And it's like, you around? It's like every conversation starts with the same thing. It starts with,
How dare you?
and then we move on from there. He thought that was actually my voice. What a compliment. Harrison Ford, one of the most distinctive voices in American cinema. Danka and hell back at you. You give him hell on the Twitter ever since I can't because no account, lol. You know what? I just saw that my friend Mr. Cannoli Sasquatch lost his account. I think it's a fucking terrible injustice. Cannoli's a good guy. I don't know what the hell this nonsense is about, but it needs to stop. Going after people and this nastiness of striking streams and pulling people down. This was on X. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to... can I copy the tweet location? I think I can. Let's see what happens if I put that in a browser. Let's see what happens. Oh, it makes a happy little tweet. All right, so my friend, it was just his Twitter was taken away from him. The days of 2017 were supposed to be behind us. This wasn't supposed to be happening anymore. So let me jump over into the YouTube and X Justice for Cannoli. Please go and try to help my pal get his X back. Go and retweet his wife's tweet. Tell him Admiral Teague sent you. X Justice for Cannoli Sasquatch. And you know what? His life's already hard enough. He's got people denying he exists. He's got other people coming into the forest looking for him, ruining his life, giving him a hard time, asking him why there's no bodies of his ancestors. And he's got to deal with the same kind of pain you and I do when he loses a relative. So when everybody's out there, you know, looking for these missing people or looking for the body of a Sasquatch, have a little respect. So I think did I cover it all? Could I have really covered it all? We talked Challenger. A little more on Steven Spielberg and this Star Wars movie. I will say this. Wow. What is going on with Steven Spielberg and the Star Wars movie that he even wants a piece of it? Is this just a bullshit story to keep people engaged and talking about Star Wars while they try to figure it out? Attaching a major name to it in any way they can. In the last 3 days, they've been playing the name game, right? Like 3-4 days ago, we heard about Natalie Portman. Let me address Natalie Portperson right now. Natalie Portperson is, in my opinion, very likely to be in Star Wars. Now, they're talking about an Ahsoka dream sequence. I would say a much smarter move would be put her in The Mandalorian as one of her own clones, or get a twofer. Do both. Do both. We know when we see her, they're not going to de-age her. They're going to cheap out and put like the makeup on her. They're going to cover her with that Padme kiss makeup. In 1982 cartoon, Challenger is destroyed in an episode of Hulk. Never referred to by name, but after one shuttle is damaged, Betty Ross announces they're giving her old number 99 to take up. Challenger was OV-99. The craft destroyed, but Betty is saved by Hulk. Banner. I kind of remember that. Help my friend out, man. He really got screwed by X here. They're not doing the right thing by people. And Elon, I call on you to stop with this booba mice where you're playing around and playing these games. you know what? You're fun. We all gave you a pass on something that was a little weird. It was like, I'm not gonna call it what other people have called it. I don't think it was intentional. I think he was caught up in it, but genius, but socially inappropriate. I'll look at the X chat now and see if anyone goes nuts. Because if anyone goes nuts about this, it's on X. I like Elon. I like him like more than half the time. He's a little bit bipolar in the way he acts in public. I'm not saying medically. I'm saying his PR image. In a bipolar manner. The man who wants to get rid of electric cars is a drill baby drill guy. I mean, the guy who wants electric cars also is a drill baby drill guy. The guy who wants to democratize the internet is giving people ways to get online for free, but it costs like that, like the Starlink. Apparently, it still needs a service. He seems really smart, but he was dating Amber Heard for an extended period of time. People say they think that kid of hers might be his. I don't know. He has admitted to this one, right? Or at least Asperger's. Elon seems a bit autistic or sometimes in his own world. I got nothing against that. That's the way I chose to view it. But because it was in a political function, of course, it gets blown out of all proportion. I will say this, and I've said it before. The story that someone at that event was going to act inappropriate was written the week after the election was final. That was written November 15th. And they started looking and homing in. And when that happened, they tried to use that story on the guy. When Biden was falling out of favor, when he was glitching replicant president, they had this story. He's too old, he's too out of it. So what happens? He's old, he's out of it, they let him go. Thanks, I'm glad you thought that was kind of based. He's old, he's out of it, he's glitching replicant president, right? And they're trying to pretend that that's not the case, but it is. He's glitching replicant president. So, sorry guys. Summing up this election, what we got is a president that's most memorable line of the campaign was that he said, I don't think, the most memorable line of this campaign as far as candidates engaging each other was, I don't know what he said, and I don't think he does either. And Biden was like, Right now, I went on Facebook today. Stay away from Facebook town. What a drag. Everybody there is upset. It's blatantly political. It's way too political. It's more political than X. On X, if someone disagrees with something politically to the extreme, they're still just someone I know through social media and on X. Someone from high school or someone you used to hang out with acting crazy or talking crazy. Really damaging real life personal friendships there on Meta, or whatever it's called these days. Elon voted for Hillary, that he said himself. Yeah, exactly. There's something weird about someone who's like, he is just a walking contradiction. He's a smart guy, and he's got the most money of anybody in the world, right? But buying Twitter didn't help him out. He needs to stop trying to pretend he can make what happened into a funny joke. It's just over. Just let it fade into the rear view. Elon has this funny habit of relitigating his mistakes in public over and over. It's a bad idea. If he had just said someone was going to be accused of being a bad person at that event because that's how they treat the people who support this guy, he would have been in the clear and people would have said, damn it, he's right. They would have said he's right and it would be over by now. But instead he extended it a couple of days by trying to joke about it. Day one, the jokes were too soon. Day two, it was too many days in a row. So if he had waited a day and made the jokes, would it have worked? I just don't know. I know that I've learned from experience that a lot of times it's just like the best thing you can do is not tweet. Even if someone says something to you, unless you have the answer on the tip of your tongue, and even then, wait about 5 or 6 minutes to do anything about it. But you know what? Stay away from that problem. Let's see. The inventions used Nikola Tesla designs and patents. Wait, you see. Oh wait, his money came from his parents and his inheritance from emerald mines, I think in South Africa. That's very believable. Sounds about right. I've never heard like a humble origin tale for him aside from his disability, which he seems to have well overcome. Let's see. The inventions used Nikola Tesla designs and patents. Nikolai Tesla designed a bunch of different things. I guess that's why he's obsessed with the name Tesla. I have a theory about Tesla. Like millions of Long Islanders growing up, by the way, when I was a kid. I lived on Long Island sometimes. When you live in New York, you move a lot. When I lived on Long Island for a while there, we used to go to a Boy Scout camp, and I thought it was an amusement park was over, in the other area. And we never really hiked near it because I think they had to take it down because pieces were falling off. You stayed away from this thing. It was from the early 1900s. The Tesla coil was still there. The Tesla coil was in like Rocky Point, New York, or something like that. It was in like, I forget where it was, but what was really weird was the Tesla coil was only about a 15-minute drive from a nuclear power plant that never was fully put online. It's called Shoreham. You can Google it, Shoreham. Shoreham. I don't know. I know he invented other stuff than things that were just germane to electricity. But yeah, hey, that's my Nikolai Tesla story. As a Boy Scout, we used to be able to see the Tesla coil from our Boy Scout camp on Long Island. Remember, it's Long Island. It's an island that's flat. Long Island also offers some of the most beautiful views in the world, and some of the most beautiful skies. Charles Lindbergh took off from Long Island. Why he didn't take off from the tip of Long Island, I don't know. He took off from like kind of the middle, but whatever. I guess he had enough fuel. He made it, right? But at the Boy Scout camp, you could see the Tesla coil, and I just never even thought to ask what it was. It looked a lot like the chair swing ride from Great Adventure, Six Flags in New Jersey. So it's like there must be one of those. Guess the closed down amusement park. And someone may have said what it was, but I was like a kid. So I was like, all right. When we were in Boy Scouts, our priority was to like sneak out of the Boy Scout camp, buy beer, and like get drunk in the woods. And we pulled it off a bunch of times, which is weird because in college, going over the same ground, it was like, hey, how do you know about this like abandoned place in the woods? It's like, don't worry about it, Boy Scouts of America. But that's my story on that one. So I got through Yellowstone, 1883, in Madison. Let's put it together for you. We talked about the release order of the shows as Yellowstone, then 1883, then 1923. The Madison's in the pipeline. It's coming out in a little while. So what happened was the Duttons, who live on the Yellowstone Ranch in the show Yellowstone, that show's great. But Kevin Costner and everyone else walks around talking in grandpappy tales about all the stuff that happened on the Oregon Trail and all the stuff about the first Duttons to get there and all the stuff that happened to them and how we see their fates. They spoil some stuff. They do a quick teaser with Tim McGraw. That leads to the series. I don't think it was planned. I think the reaction to the flashback was huge. But they went, I'll look at that Tesla coil comment in 1 minute. We'll just talk about 1923, 1883, and Yellowstone. So in Yellowstone, which is on a different network than 1923 and 1883, they spend a lot of time talking about how in Yellowstone, the Yellowstone Ranch has been in the family a long time. Great-great-grandpappy did this, grandpappy did that, great-grandpappy did the other thing. So they got their time frame wrong on 1883. What happened was they were locked in because of stuff said on Yellowstone. In Yellowstone, we flash back to 1893, okay? And that's where they set the stage for some of the things that happens in 1883. Were they doing it on purpose? Was it a setup? Or was it something to float the episode of Yellowstone? I don't know. Sorry, I was coughing. I really don't know. But the thing is, it happened, I think, to power them through the episode of Yellowstone, so it wasn't really super well researched. So in 1883, they left from Kentucky to go to Texas to get to Oregon and never get on the Oregon Trail, which is admitted in official literature. All right. What they do is they spend all the time in their show circling around the worst part of Texas, getting into trouble with one thing after another. They lose most of their people in Texas. The price of hanging around and trying to get more protection is astronomical. Then they make a mad dash north for the last couple of episodes, and we get some answers. The thing is, if you watched 1923, you already know who a couple of people are going to make it and how they're going to die when they get to Yellowstone. So that, like, the only spoiler-free way to watch this is 1883 first. Well, 1883 has huge problems. Like, we figured out that for something like 60 to 80 bucks, they could have taken a train there and been okay, because the loss of life is massive. They chose this. That also, they didn't have to take it wasn't a lot of open country as far as, yes, there was a lot of open country, but you'd be out there for like a week, and then you would make it to St. Louis, and then you'd be out there for a week, and you would make it to Oklahoma City, or whatever it may be, as you wend your way north and then west, which they never do. And they get bushwhacked in like Oklahoma. In Oklahoma, the wagon train gets like messed up, and they have to like take their chances and just go their separate ways. And there's not enough people left anyway. You're gonna roll out. Good night to you, Dave C. And it was great to see you. Hopefully next Tuesday, you'll take flight with me. Let's talk about it during the week. And I love Dave C's show. Check out his channel. It's in the chat. It's been labeled in the chat. So if you scroll back, see how that works? If you scroll back in the chat, you'll see Dave C's comment, and then I'll be able to highlight it when I look at it too. But Star Trek 1883, the first real Star Trek show in 20 years. Radioactive's right. It's got about as much problems in believability as Star Trek, but it's got as much immersion as Star Trek. Star Trek works because you want it to be good, and it works, and because they respect your mind and they respect you. In 1883, they have a big problem. They got locked in with Granddaddy talk. Instead of just ignoring it and rebooting the story, he stuck with what he had, and he made a good story anyway. They just make a lot of freaking mistakes. It was just stupid to do it the way they did it. So that's how they managed to do things. Like, I guess Mary Abel and Claire's deaths are probably in Yellowstone, probably talked about in the 1893 flashback, and the 1893 is the only one that unites most shows. It's got characters, but not by the same actors, from 1883 and 1923. And I've heard 1934 is coming out, but I don't know if that's true. I think it's going to be 1923 as 1934, because there's a lot of weirdness and confusion with the names. Sorry, Dave C. Sorry for dropping you away. What a great key graffiti. You're welcome, Dave. It's a pleasure. It was fun getting to know Dave. Dave's a good guy, man. And all of you are fun people. We have a great chat here, and we have a good community. That's why we're able to get away with these weekday shows. I thank everybody who's been here. Let's see. Nikola Tesla was almost the insane Chuck Norris of science. He was so cool that only David Bowie could play him in a movie. You know, that's true. And I'll also say this. I have a theory on Tesla. He was right about stuff. He understood that microwaves were a real thing. He didn't understand they would hurt people. I think that Nikola Tesla, who had less money and was more hands-on than Thomas Edison, might have done his own work, whereas Edison hired people to do it for him. Edison had ideas or bought ideas and had other people do the work. Nikola Tesla had his hands deep into vulcanized, like, rubber. How many times, deep into, how many times did he stir up, vulcanized rubber to make the conduits, right, and inhale those fumes? How many times did he, spend his time, dealing with heavy metals and things that have heavy metals in them? So I think what happens is with Tesla, what you saw was when a genius goes insane. What do you guys think? Occam's razor on that one? Could Nikola Tesla have just gone insane from exposure to all the toxins and chemicals from the industrial world of the early 1900s? If the Dutton family had just taken the train to Salt Lake, as we definitely have shown they could have, they would have been in Bozeman, Montana in 2 weeks tops. Not to mention they didn't have to go to Texas at all. They were so much closer. They overrun where they come from just to go there by wagon train, which means they ship their stuff south to go north. And then the bad directions and the map stuff, I think that we're lucky that our pal Radioactive was somewhat familiar with the area, because once he bought that up, it looks like they were trying to tell us this was a poorly led wagon train. Either that, or it's Taylor Sheridan's Texas, and the Brazos River is south and north of where it's supposed to be. Who knows? But it seems like they were heading towards Mexico before they headed anywhere else. Tesla made contact with a satellite. Dark Knight or Black Knight satellite. Wait. Locked it on. Nikolai Tesla died before the space age. You're talking about the Tesla Corporation? Help me out with that one. No problem. We come here to communicate, not have a spelling bee. I'll joke around about people's spelling mistakes, but I won't mock you for it. I make enough. If you've been to any other chat, you've seen Admiral Teague sometimes looks like he's the one who's got the intellectual inability. But yeah, you know what? He's like nuts by World War One and dead by like the 20s, I think, if I got Tesla right. Let me see. I'm going to ask my assistant, named after a big river. Answer's coming through now, Con. Wow, he lived till 1856 to 1943. He lived to be an old man. He might have gone crazy from being old, too. Wow. EM fields could affect the mind, maybe. We don't know about that yet, but it's fallen in and out of belief over the last 30 years. They used to think that living under power lines could be really bad for you, and I can see how it's possibly true. It doesn't offend my sense of logic. One thing that does offend my sense of logic, but is just true, unless it's been done in the last few years. Sorry, I was just adjusting the mic there. Unless it's been done in the last few years, seems to be that, and I believe this one, it's just so weird though, they can't replicate the secondhand smoke. They can't replicate the secondhand smoke conclusion. Now, it's better that we don't smoke indoors, and smoking is bad for you anyway, but the secondhand smoke thing, I hope nobody took a type 1 phaser to their gourd and, did the ultimate when they're thinking that they gave the big C to someone else when maybe they didn't. But all the other things that the secondhand smoke does to other people, still good case to go smoke outside. And I used to be a big time smoker. I loved smoking when I smoked. And then the day woke up where I just was cured of it. This is a tip I'll share with you guys if you're considering it. Vaping is just as a pain in the ass as smoking. If you invest the price of 3 packs of cigarettes in New York, which is about $45, a pack of cigarettes is $14 to $19 here, and I haven't bought one in 6 or 8 years, so who knows? Might be $22 by now. But smoking definitely down, vaping definitely up. If you leave the vaporizer on top of the pack of cigarettes and hit it up first, you'll get off the cigarettes, or at least I was able to. And it was easier for me to quit from vaping than it was to quit from cigarettes. Story is often linked to radio experiments by Nikolai Tesla in 1899 and radio signals heard by Jürgen Hals in 1928. Even then, why would it be bouncing? See, radio signals exist in nature, so he might have been, I don't know. And commercial radio is around, but I'm interested to know more of that. I'll Google on the Tesla thing. Let's see. It was a data bank. We, data, where data comes from, in the future, they have no money. Why would they have a bank? Just kidding. And that data comes up a few times. He's pivotal in the Yesterday's Enterprise episode we watched. Yesterday's Enterprise, peak Star Trek. We enjoyed the hell out of it. You know what? The reaction of the panel at the end of the view was so visceral that I actually went ahead and left that in the upload. I left that in the upload for the episode because it was so visceral. Everyone's like, oh, God. Oh. And Sean was like, that was so much better. And it's like, it was like a cleansing ritual. It was so bad. Nope, they would have made history much faster. Yeah, here's the deal. In the world of 1883, their privation level and their level of difficulty is 1843. By 1853 and 63, they're really starting to get the American Guardians situation, to where they're not going to win, and they weren't a threat on the route that we see these people taking. They just weren't a threat. If it had been 1873, I said they had a shot, not because they were really, really active, only because there was one group that does, and it's a huge group, They bushwhack and wreck up Custer on the 25th and 26th of June, 1876. So 1873, at least and this attack on them was an outlier where they thought they were safe, although they were chasing them down and seeking conflict. But they thought they were safe from these people. They thought they were just going to mess them up. So, Custer and that attack, a whole story of its own. That's a podcast. I would love to do a stream on Custer's attack plan. That would be fun. That'd be fun. It doesn't make Custer look very good, but it's a statement on 19th century warfare worldwide. No better or no worse than anyone else. And maybe I'll find out that I was wrong about some of these things. But I've read Son of the Western Star, or Son of the Western Sky, the Custer book. It was really, really, really good. And I've read a couple. I was really fascinated on Custer for a while. I saw this great Custer What If movie with what would have happened if he lived. And the conclusion was they would have fixed the outcome of the court-martial. And let's see, RTNZ says, locked in on, ever heard of the Philadelphia experiment of trying to transport a naval carrier across the world and the crew were found fused at the hull? I think it phased out but didn't transport. I think the Philadelphia experiment needs a lot more proof. We had one guy who kept admitting and recanting and admitting and recanting and admitting and recanting. And also, he got whether the government compromised him or not, this technology now sounds beyond World War II. I think what happened was it might have been something a lot closer to something real. Somewhere they wrapped a ship in radar degaussing cables and stuff like that, and the things that were meant to sort of help you not leave a signal and help degaussing is radiation. They were wrapping they were working somehow put electricity through the ship to kind of hide its signature and see if it would work, something like that. And I think they may have accidentally turned the whole ship into into an electric chair and lied about it. That's within the scope of possibilities. But you know what? I don't claim hegemony or knowledge on this one. Operation Paperclip. You were very interested in the scientific knowledge that the Germans had. That's true. Operation Paperclip, though, in my opinion, was highly justified because the alternative was to let the Russians have it. And at that point, they were the Soviets, and they were dicks. We couldn't have them out there. The real Philadelphia experiment was degaussing. Okay. Is degaussing deradiation, or is degaussing when they wrap the ship in an electrical cable that puts a low current through it that reduces one of its signatures? Which one is it? Help me out there. It's the St. Elmo's fire kind of thing. Were they trying to? I have to Google degaussing. Degaussing definition. Electronics. The removal of unwanted magnetism from a television monitor in order to correct color disturbance. That makes sense that you would want to do that to a military vessel. I can get it, especially in this world where analog, maybe magnets didn't play as big. Magnets being, in a ship that didn't have a magnetic field was very important. Who knows? The destruction of the data on a storage device by removing its magnetism. Their on-site destruction service, including hard drive degaussing, wiping, and destruction. Well, we used to degauss audio tapes, so now we got that one nailed down. But really quick, Yellowstone, the way to watch it is 1883, 1923, then Yellowstone. 1883 and 1923 probably spoil a little bit of Yellowstone. The thing is, Yellowstone, the presence of people's descendants means they made it. You know what I mean? The presence of people in an area means that person survived. They've spoiled parts of 1923 with parts of with Yellowstone. I watched the Yellowstone marathon when it was on, and I didn't watch the whole thing because it was spoiling stuff left and right. The shows are deeply wrapped into the original Yellowstone. So let's see what they do that. Never go full Gauss. Yes, radioactive. Okay, let's see. I think it was reducing the magnetic field, and we were right. Yep. Maybe it was stealth or invisible. You know what? It's an experiment worth trying at that point. Maybe they didn't know, and it's just we already have this cable. The ship's set up to do it. Let's crank it up a little higher. Preventing attack by magnetic exploding torpedoes. It's your shields. Never go full Gauss. I promise not to. Okay, kind of like Interdictor Star Destroyer that can turn on and fire to turn torpedoes around as well as prevent hyperdrive. I'm not familiar with that with the Interdictor Star Destroyer, but hey, you know what? There's a lot of command ships out there. Little Bighorn, a battle so intense that only Tom Cruise survived and had to run away to the Rift to Japan to recover. Here's the deal. Most of them didn't survive, but 2 out of 3 elements of the 7th Cavalry were able to fight what's called a tactical retreat. And the other officers really got bashed because Custer was the most photographed man alive at the time. Think about that for a moment and his level of fame. And also, the nation learned of his death on the 4th of July, 1876, the 100th centennial. And I got a cough again. Hold on. Sorry. I'm sorry, guys. So, like, Custer, the most photographed man of his time, killed, in like a really, really spectacular way, years after they thought they had this Guardian thing under control. And yup, that's the express train. You get the New York City ambiance until StreamYards can work this crap out, right? And let's see. Most major navies experimented with magnetic detonators because if you can explode a torpedo under the keel, you break the ship's back. That's true. I knew that one. So yeah, like the degaussing to get rid of magnetic mines would definitely. You would love that one. Let's see. It's the one with the 4 domes on it. Are we talking about different kinds of radar? Is that Doppler radar? Or are we talking about Oh, the Interdictor Star Destroyer. Okay. I got it. Yes, thank you. All right, now I've got it. Okay. Well, hey. We talked about 1883. We talked about 1923. Gravity well generators. That would be a cool sci-fi thing. We talked about Section 31. The red letter media thing again. Man, Section 31 was terrible. If you want to hear some funny shit, go to our watch party and like scroll along and just like see like check every once in a while. Like we talk for a half hour up front, so definitely watch that. And then like we'll say how long the movie is. Go forward like that much, and you'll hear us like if you want like the whole listen is actually good. It's like we're in pain. It's like that one should be called Into the Agonizer Booth. In fact, I'm gonna change the name to that now. That was a night in the Agonizer booth. We just like, I don't know how many times we were screaming out loud, how many times like audible pain came out. Like, we love Star Trek, and to see it debased like that, to see it just debased, it was really, really bad. But, you know what? Yesterday's Enterprise, wow. The last editing pass really, let me show you guys a little bit about where it's at. No volume for this one. So I love to use that old Game Boy NC1701D, and I wonder if this is the one I layered all the video on. Let's see how much it's got. I've been cutting these all day. That's what Admiral Teag does on his spare time. In fact, I have the rendering software open right now. Now, is that just the good old episode? This might be an earlier one. Oh, here. Yep, there we go. That was our review of Section 31 right there, right up front. But I think this must be a different iteration because there was much more video. Yeah, this is a different iteration. This is earlier. I will just, you know what? I can remove that. But you know what? Fun stuff. Check it out. I'm going to just see if I can find the proper one. I put so much freaking video into this one. And if I erase that last pass, I'll be pretty upset. But I'm going to try to remember what I called it. I think I had a different name for it this time. Let's take a look, shall we? Anyway, I'm so glad you guys are here. You can kind of see a little bit of my process. Editing is fun. It's kind of like playing a video game. It really is. It's kind of like playing an RTS or a city builder game. It's fun. It's enjoyable, and it's fulfilling. All right, let me take a look here. Ah, here it is.
Incoming.
So this is basically, you can see here, I love using that NES, that beginning from Game Boy. And then, yeah, this is past 3. So I set it up. It seems like the live narration to the episodes is nowhere near on par with the narration that I do when or is not appropriate for the narration I do for the uploads. So I do a plot synopsis up front, and here we are explaining why we watched this movie. And here we go. That's the review of Section 31 real quick right up front. And then we kind of stand up for Catherine Garrett, emphasis on the Starfleet logo. She was Starfleet all the way. The Section 31 story, just debasing Star Trek, was absolutely horrible. I went heavy on the fan art here. I went heavy on the video. Is this the one with the heavy video? We'll find out. This one's got a lot more video. Here we go. So it was a good time making this. It's getting even better. It's getting another editing pass, and we're going to be able to see all this stuff from the perspective of the characters. This is from just the plot synopsis alone. It's going to be 22 minutes long. I'm 6 minutes in, and as you can see, we've got a pretty interesting video for you. So come back next week for that one. The video essay is on the way. RRTNZ, you're a fan of Critical Drinker. What did you think of that video narrative flow? With the cuts right on time, right? Would Will approve of that one, RRTNZ? Let me know. And let's see where we are. 22 votes, scientifically viable. But, it doesn't quite matter. But look at, do you remember where you were when the Challenger was lost? Yes, 82%. No, 5%. And before I was around, /like the stream. And you know what? If you have liked today's stream, I can't tell you how grateful I am to you and how great of a stream it's been for us, because we are finally getting reestablished on the weekday, which has been a consistent problem for the show. It really just has been for the last couple weeks. Because what happens is once I started doing a lot of stuff, especially helping people out and doing a lot of other commitments with other channels, I got a little distracted and unfocused. So then during the weeks, I wasn't. Then work came in, and work was great, like making money. Gotta love that. Not being dependent on YouTube. If YouTube is so great, just don't call him by their name, or he may appear and eat your house. Oh, that's great. Would the Critical Drinker approve of it? How's that? Would the Critical Drinker be okay with that one? Is the video essay getting there? Are we getting to the point where the video essay is on par? That's all I'm asking. I'm trying hard. Did I close my studio? Am I still live? I'm still live. I couldn't have closed my studio, but where is it? There it is. Man, floating tabs, they'll kill any YouTuber, man. They're just a drag. But I thank all of you for being here. We got 5 people listening on X. If you don't want to chime in, fine. I'm really, really grateful for you for being here, though. You guys are the best, and we've had a hell of a show. I won't call him by that name. I'll call him Mr. Drinker. It was really cool for you to shout me out in his member stream. And you know what? I'm looking forward to the next one. It can't be too far away. But you know what? A great show and a great time had with all of you guys. I'm going to be back on Thursday with my guest, Sub-Commander Tal. It's going to be a lot of fun. Sub-Commander Tal does great shit on YouTube. Hey, Trek Reviewer! You were only 3 years old in '86. Man, so, yeah, you know what? You could click don't remember. Or I guess, kind of before your time, right? Honestly, on the cusp of being your time. I have no memories from that young. Maybe a flash here and a flash there of maybe my mom or something like that. But, yeah, wow. It was a long time ago, right? But you know what? They were heroes to science, and we applaud them, and we applaud what they did for science and for the United States. You gotta love them, and you know what? We remember them, and because they were brave, we miss them all the more. Anyway, I think you guys have earned this. You need to see it. There she is, baby. Critical Drinker said you put her on your thumbnail. You put her on a thumbnail randomly, and 1 million more people showed up. Let's have a beautiful lady give us a little talk. Hoshi!
incoming transmission.
Welcome to Saving Star Trek, a show talking about one of my favorite shows, Enterprise. I am Linda Park. I play Hoshi Sato and also Empress Sato. So enjoy this show. I love that it's finding a whole new life on the streaming services. And you better hit that like button or Empress Sato will not be happy. I mean, she could make a storm happen, and she could really make your life hard. Anyways, enjoy the show, hit that like button, and thank you for being a fan of Enterprise.
Thank you, Hoshi. You know what? Linda Park was so cool to make that for us, and she seemed like she had a good time. Sean Carter, I can't thank you enough. What a great gift. Hitting a really high number here at the end. What are you going to do? I'm not going to string this show along. I went through my bullet points. However, it would be fair to give you guys a quick recap on the way out the door. Today's stories were, we remember the Challenger. If you pray, maybe give him one. George Lucas won't let Steven Spielberg direct a Star Wars movie. Is it just to keep people talking about Star Wars? What the hell's up with that? Captain America. A weird tweet follows a weird interview. Look, man, I made a best case scenario for what could have happened. But you know what? Like, believe your eyes on that one. I think that he needs to make a fulsome apology. That was not a fulsome apology. I don't know. I've come to believe that the women who work at Disney believe their nonsense, and that's why after working for the most allegedly supportive company of women in the world, they come out crying and a mess at the end. I think that there's got to be a direct correlation. Call me crazy, but maybe now it's caught on to the men. Anthony Mackie sounding as crazy as Cynthia Erivo with this declaration about the United States. You know what? Anthony, own it. Say you're sorry. Say America's been good to you. And shut the fuck up. Cross-eyed Superman learned to fly. Why is he learning to fly if he's supposed to be Superman year one, so to speak? Like Batman year one. He's been at it for a while. He's not brand new. He's not some neophyte. He knows how to fly. Why is he learning how to fly? Why is he cross-eyed? Why are his arms apparently like weird bendy pipe cleaners? Is that really true, or did someone put one over on me? No one's going to know. You've got to make a new trailer. You've got to do better, James Gunn. You've got to do better. Falcon and the Snowman. Freckle Jesus' character at least isn't alive. Do they resurrect her to make the movie worse? I don't know. Red Hulk, less than 5 minutes. Section 31 Red Letter Review. It's 44 minutes long. The movie is 2 hours. It's better than the movie because it's much shorter. They get lost so many times in their gags and their skits. I know they love them and they're good at them. If you want to see some gags and skits with a movie review of 5 minutes of value thrown in, watch them. They don't go more than 5 minutes worth of value, though. It's not that valuable. It's not terrible, but I only made it 33 or 44 minutes in. I quit voluntarily. I didn't like it, so only okay. And they were right on the only thing they said of substance, that every Alex Kurtzman show and every show in the modern Star Trek era has been revenge, super weapon, and an unearned emotional arc. I couldn't agree more. It's just true. It's just true. Anyway, you've earned... And this is what they wanted for us. This is what they call Star Trek. And my Star Trek interface here for our friend Fizzy, this guy, this freaking Vulculin, why have Romulans when all Vulcans are underhanded dicks? Our bad guy, he's the bad guy, by the way. Spoiler alert! Okay, we got our progress flag up there because they are amazing in Section 31. They talk like loser, even worse versions of the boring posse that chases Harrison Ford in Fugitive. You know their snappy, overlapping dialogue that was unheard of in 1993? Yeah, Alex Kurtzman thinks that's current still. He has no taste. He was a producer on Eagle Eye, so he thinks that movie was profound. He copies some of Eagle Eye for the beginning. He copies some of Eagle Eye for the beginning of Section 31. I guess he thinks it's profound, right? The voice sounds familiar, just like Eagle Eye, and it's done just like Eagle Eye. It's a message to us, the fans. It's that ridiculous. We got Rachel Garrett down here at the 6 o'clock position because she is fabulous. And now the Battle of Neandra 3, I guess in their world, was a Section 31 false flag operation. I mean, look what they're doing.
Doesn't anyone see that this is wrong?
That was much better Star Trek than these people can make. That Tuvix episode at least had some redeeming characteristics. It was really horrible, man. It's just like when I see Alex Kurtzman, I'll just be like, 100%. Just shut up, buddy. Shut up with these. And then, of course, the tiny picture of Michelle Yeoh, really tiny because she's barely in it if you count the real Michelle Yeoh. And I don't know if it was a problem with the GIF or like if when they slowed it down, the problem was exposed. And Alan Ang, I don't blame him, but and please, people, don't give the guy shit. Alan Ang reviews a lot of movies. If he thought it's a 5, he could justify why he thought it's a 5. He's better than us. But the thing is, it's a 5 in the world of Alan Ang. It doesn't affect us. And he said he only really watched Deep Space Nine. So he saw a lot of kooky Star Trek that wasn't, I don't think that he has like a strong rooting in the original series. I don't think he has a strong rooting in TNG. So he disabused himself of his ignorance. Please don't go bothering Alan Ang because he said this movie was a 5 out of 10. Even if that was way too generous, 3 is as high as you should go. And I think Chris Gore and Nerdrotic said the same thing because I saw another show where Nerdrotic said Grandma dresses up as a hooker for Halloween is definitely what was going on. And it was terrible. And it was just like, why not something more conventional?
She was attacked by what appears to be essentially a robot.
Right? Like that worked. Whatever was wrong with that. And then on the left there, we got Mikey Spock, the biggest thing there, because this recanonizes her. This recanonizes her. All right? I mean, that Star Trek Discovery decanonization was good for 2 weeks when it worked out. The real Philadelphia experiment involved a ritual to open a portal through space and time, but accidentally summoned Cthulhu, who ate the ship and most of the sailors. Everyone who survived went insane. That is a cool story, and also, it's just what happens to the ship in Loki, isn't it? And also, the final countdown in there, and yesterday's Enterprise. Kurtzman Robbins Section 31 flavors fell flat, completely bland and no flavor. It was worse than that. It was like it tasted, it had a flavor. It tasted like shit. It left a terrible taste in our mouths. We were all disgusted. And decanonizing Discovery was just to get clicks and get this trending. It didn't work. By the way, everybody go back to using Star Trek. Call it Infection 31 though. Don't trend Infection 30 in Section 31. But go back to using Star Trek. Use it all you want. Use it pejoratively against the new Star Trek if you want. Say you want classic Star Trek back. Use the hashtag classic Star Trek because real Star Trek could be misinterpreted. This is a cool story. I would watch that movie. Wait, are you saying the Philadelphia experiment really polarized the hull? I think that might be one way of putting it. And hello. And everyone's hailing each other. It's great. I for one welcome our new insect overlords, right? Isn't that Kent Brockman? I for one welcome our new leader. It was great in that 1998 Godzilla movie. Wasn't good, but it was funny to see Kent Brockman. Oh, I'm going backwards on this one. Wow. Okay. I haven't watched it yet, but I will this week. But I'll check it out and let you know. Okay. Cheers to you. I've been bad, Hoshi. Yeah. Forget Guguryu. My empress is Hoshi Sato. Yeah, and she's Guguryu's not an empress. She's an emperor. They went with that one for some weird reason that I do not understand. She's an emperor, not an empress. I don't get it. Guys, hit that like and follow while you can. If I could get it to 20, it would be just a game-changing, great freaking thing. But 19, couldn't ask for more, but I will. It's funny, I say I couldn't ask for more, asking for more. Couldn't be more grateful. Okay, my deepest of bows to you guys. And have I gotten to the end of the... they ripped off one of the worst Eddie Murphy movies to create that Falcon. Are you serious? Oh, to create that Vulcan. Are you saying that... Wait, you're saying... Oh, wait, you're saying that it's Randy Quaid from Bruno Mars? Where it's no longer accurate. They pull out $100 bill and it's got Hillary Clinton on it. I'm sorry, I started laughing my way into coughing. And hello. And you know what? Like, this has been the strongest YouTube stream in quite a while. I'm really proud of it. Let's end this one with a great dose of Sydney Sweeney. I have to stop multiple endings. I'm the Lord of the Return of the King of ending my stream. I really am. I love all you guys. I gave you Hoshi, and we played yesterday's Enterprise. Let's go with Sydney. Before that, though, let me tell you, I love you all. And that saving Star Trek... See, I did it to myself again. Let's close our poll, too. Do you remember where you were when the Challenger was lost? 82% of us said yes. 14 of us, it's before we're born. That's a good mix. We're going to keep Star Trek alive. We're going to keep Star Trek alive, like almost 20%, almost 1 in 5. So 1 in 4 of our viewers basically is, a youngster. It's good that we have new blood. And this show's for adults, so, there's a new crowd of people coming in all the time. And there's a reason why we have so many more older viewers. It's not just that Star Trek's been bad for a long time. There's a lot more people who were born up until 1970 when the economy went into its first real big dive, and it's been downhill ever since then for the whole thing. But you know what? Let's take the Section 31 banner down. Oh, God. Why did I leave it up this long? What do I have a disdain for myself is what I have to ask myself is. But there's Sydney Sweeney, much easier on the eyes. And here she is to look at as we get ready to leave. But I wanted to say before we go that Saving Star Trek is brought to you by the genius of Gene Roddenberry, by the dedication of Admiral Teag, and by the generosity of viewers like RRTNZ, who gave us a generous New Zealand $10 super chat, where on one side of his going out, and now he's back. And you know what? The show is a very, very approachable 2:27, under 2.5 hours. We're going to get out of here. And you guys, I hope I gave you a show packed with entertainment, enough to listen to. People tend to listen to the show for a good amount of time afterwards. A lot of you seem to come back and listen to what you missed, and a lot of people listen to it longer. Like, a lot of the listen times later are longer. But is that the one I'm thinking of? Is it Bruno Mars? But yeah, they ripped off Men in Black, too, with the thing driving around that Vulcan. And wow. Anyway, let's get some Sydney Sweeney. And I love you all. And, ooh, Linda Park, just for a second. Oh, Hoshi, it's not just my life you make hard. I'll say that. But let's get that Sydney Sweeney video. And you guys are the best. Bye.